Hello everyone and welcome back once more to Anime Yay or Nay's Shonen Showdown. I am TheOutbackAl.
I'm hot for justice.
I'm Yin&Jung.
I'm Chibi-Noob.
And I'm Envy Jitters.
And we're back. It's time. It's the semifinals. The Final Four are here. What happened last week? We got our last contestant going into the Final Four. Inuyasha beat out Dragon Ball Z. And now it's the big game. It's down to the final stretch before the finals. I'm saying final a lot. This week, it's the tough one. Another tough one. There's been a lot of tough ones. But this is an especially tough one for a lot of us. Jujutsu Kaisen versus Demon Slayer. Who's looking forward to this?
So hard.
I'm looking forward to actually, being done with it, but it's, not an easy decisions to make today.
No.
Yeah. So we did all watch, right?
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right.
Yes.
Oh. Any last words before we get into this one?
Any last words?
That's
Parting phrases.
Yeah. Nope. All right.
Do we want to tell them what we learned about vegetables and fruits
You know
today,
what?
you guys?
Another time. It's a lot to unpack. Cucumbers are fruit now, apparently. I don't.
Yes.
You know,
As well as pumpkins.
that one I'm not as surprised by, but it's not.
Yeah.
I don't know. Doesn't matter. Look up your botanical information off of Google or whatever, because we're not experts here. I don't know. Let's
Google
talk about
is the expert.
maybe, probably. Let's talk Jujutsu Kaisen first. So Jujutsu Kaisen, what happened this week? What did happen? Right. Gojo was getting ambushed by Jogo, and
That's going to be confusing.
Yeah.
well, maybe. So, Jogo ambushes Gojo in the mountains, which is a no-go, if you ask me. But I really want to. I can't think of one off the top of my head, but I really want to do some sort of Mojo Jojo, long-winded thing that he did back in the day. I can't do it. It makes me sad. Anyway, Gojo knows Jogo is coming for him, and Jogo just attacks, and he's like, I'm gonna take this guy down. I'm gonna destroy this guy. I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do that, and nothing affects Gojo whatsoever, because Gojo is, he's number one. He's the number one Jujutsu sorcerer out there. Which what does Jujutsu mean again?
Sorcery.
He's the number one sorcerer out there.
Exactly.
And man, Jogo can't even touch Gojo. He tries so many times, and he feels like he's making contact with Gojo, but Gojo goes to Jogo, and he's like, man, you're not even touching me. You can't even reach this space because I got infinity around me. I sound like I'm high. But he does have infinity around him.
No, it sounds like physics class.
Oh, it is a physics class.
It literally sounds like physics class.
So the Gojo Jogo fight is going, and he's like, I forget the name of his attack at one point, but he goes on the offensive at a certain point and attacks Jogo with, I can only describe it as some sort of heat death of the universe red shift thing, and he just blasts him into a lake. And in the 12-15 seconds it took Jogo to recover, Gojo zipped over to where Yuji was hanging out watching the end of Lord of the Rings. I think Fellowship. Mm-hmm. No, was it Fellowship?
Yeah.
I think maybe.
Yeah, it was Fellowship, where Sam and Frodo are together, which I love how, clear they're making their references to stuff. I think they even called it... I don't know if this was in the original sub, but in the dub, I think they do say it's Sam, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And he's getting good with dealing with the little punchy bear. So Gojo says to Yuji's hey, I want to show you something. We're gonna have a little field trip, teaching lessons, sort of Miss Frizzle style. And he somehow goes from somewhere out in the mountains to the compound, back out to somewhere in the mountains in the matter of maybe 15 seconds. he's all about space, man. He made wormholes. I don't know how else to describe this. And Gojo shows Yuji Jogo, and he's like, "Here, Jogo's gonna try to kill me, but he can't because he's super weak." And Jogo's like, "What the fuck?" And Yuji's just like, so wait, what's going on? What am I supposed to be learning? And then Jogo uses his domain expansion, which we saw earlier in some of the other episodes, but not Jogo's. Jogo takes them into, what did he call it? It was something really cool.
Coffin of the Iron Mountain.
Yes! That sounds so badass. And they're basically inside the heart of a volcano, but the heat and everything else, it can't touch Gojo, and by extension, it can't touch Yuji. And Gojo's just like, hey, so this is a domain. It's a domain expansion. It's, makes your... essentially, it's kind of like in Yu-Gi-Oh! When you put down a field card and it enhances your own abilities or whatever. It can also enhance... I'm not going to get into all the mechanics of a field card in Yu-Gi-Oh! Not the point, because no one actually knows how to play Yu-Gi-Oh! We've covered that in a separate episode. Go back and watch that at some point. So... He's like, there's a couple things you can do. Basically, any attack that is thrown inside of someone's domain will hit. So you can either take that hit and try to dish out some damage back, or you can try to escape, or you can do my thing where I'm going to make my own domain expansion, which is the first time we're seeing a sorcerer do this. I thought it was only going to be like cursed spirits who could do that. But no, Gojo takes off his eye mask and reveals his gorgeous eyes. And the best way I can describe this, it's called the Infinite Void. And he has Jogo see and contemplate the concept of infinity, all on the backsplash of a black hole. And then Gojo tears Jogo apart until he's nothing but a head. And then he's like, all right, let's try to get some answers out of this guy. And then flowers pop out everywhere. And they're like, hey, this is pretty cool. This is pretty nice. Wait a minute, this is a trick. And Treeface, who we've also seen before, he can't speak right, but he got like weird trees coming out of his eyes, and everything about him is weird. But he grabs Jogo's head, runs from Gojo and Yuji, and escapes. And they're just like, wow, what are you going to do? Let's go home, and we'll figure out what to do next. And meanwhile, in the other places, there's the I'm going to call them the League of Cursed Evil People. I don't know. All... What was it? Hang on. Every villain is lemons. We'll call them that.
There you go.
Yeah, so Every Villain is Lemons is having a beach episode while everyone else is, like, doing actual work. And yeah, that's where that episode ends, I think. I watched a lot of things this week. Everything's running a little bit together, so I'm trying my best. Then we meet other people from another school for the sports festival cultural exchange event that's coming up soon. It includes a pineapple head. Well, not a pineapple head. He's got a hairstyle like a pineapple. Who picks a fight with Megami because he's like, hey, I like tall girls with big asses. What do you like? And he's like, I like girls with nice personalities. He's like, you fucking basic. And he smacks him. There's also... What's her face's twin sister?
Maki.
Yeah.
Her twin sister, Mai.
Yeah, and she's a bitch.
Yeah.
So Toto is the pineapple hair man, and he's beating up Megami, and Megami makes frogs with wings, and he still gets his ass kicked because Toto, like, takes on people with just his bare hands. He doesn't need any special sorcery powers, unless it's, like, a really, really tough opponent, but he's basically like, Megami, you ain't worth it. And he's just beating him up until Panda shows up to stop the fight. And, yeah, everyone's a little bit disappointed that there's not going to be any third-year students coming in other than them for the sports festival thing, cultural event, exchange. Hootenanny. I'm forgetting so many, like, words for things nowadays. It's a lot. But all that happens. We also see in a theater somewhere, there is a kid who gets bullied a lot, went to see a movie. I'm pretty sure it's a play on the Human Centipede. I don't think we've had a 3. We might have had a 3 at this point. So he's watching the Human Centipede 3, and some jerky people are, have poor theater etiquette and are talking during the movie. So Frankenstein stitched up dude from the League of Evil shows up and explodes their heads. Then the guy chases him out of the theater. He's like, hey, how'd you do that? I want to know how to do that. So that's what's going on there. He was a kid in the theme song who looks like, what's his face? Lucy from Devil is a Part-Timer. Then we have to investigate the murder. There is a blonde glasses-looking man.
Uh-huh.
Forgot his name. He doesn't like people. What? Nanami. He doesn't like people. Mm-hmm. He's a very straightforward kind of guy. But Gojo vouches for him, and he says, hey, Yuji, go with this guy. He's going to teach you stuff today. I'm going to go get into a dick measuring contest with a very old man. And he does. And he has fangirls. And that's about it for that storyline right now. So, Yuji and Nanami are investigating, and they discover that other people are being turned into pseudo-curses, but are still human, and they're learning about how to do stuff. There's some crazy shit going on here. Did anything else happen?
Basically, a patchwork face, and the kid from the opening, who we think is going to be Yuji's friend,
right.
Junpei, they become friends, in a sense.
I got a sense it was more of
Mahito.
a mentor-mentee kind of thing.
Yeah, sort of.
Did we see that part?
And he's, like, teaching him about, like, potential potential special spirits or whatever it was called.
Yeah, some cursed spirits are like formed from more abstract concepts, like Frankenstein Man. We'll call him Stein for now, from Soul Eater. Stein is basically the embodiment of humanity's hatred for other humans. So that's, very edgelord, but, good for you. I think that's where we ended off, right?
Yeah, it starts an arc that goes to episode 13, episode 9.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. So, right now, Yuji is going to be going to try to talk to Junpei, while Nanami's going to go after Mahito, who is Patchwork Face, and that's where the episode ends.
Right. Getting in that investigative mood. So, what did we think about the plot? It's probably terrible based on how I described it today, but if you actually watch it, what you should be doing for this, let's talk plot. I'm a yay for the plot. I think it was great that we had not only like we got to see the fight that was built up in the last couple episodes. That happened. Wonderful. It was cool. We got to show off a lot of cool stuff. But on top of that, we're getting into some more things. We're getting into like what's gonna be happening. Because I was thinking for a little bit, what's going to happen with Megami and Nobara? Because, they're not really doing anything. But then, rival kids come in. There's going to be some conflict, some action going on there. Then there's, the investigation and the new, bigger threats. And we're learning a little bit more about everything as we keep going. And it's keeping things moving. And I'm enjoying where it's going. So I'm a yay on this.
Yeah, I like the plot. It's... trying to think what I wanted to say about it specifically. It's you got you're wrapping up the plot with Gojo and Jogo. I hate that. And then you get the students doing their own thing, like you said, with the rival students. And then you get the start of another arc. With, Mahito and Junpei and Itadori and Nanami. So yeah, there's all of them. And I think they, are tying, stuff together pretty well. I don't really know exactly, like, what else to say if, like, you haven't seen the episodes. You wouldn't really, like, understand. So... But, like, everything, like, works that they're doing within, like, the episodes. Like, the plot is, like, going forward. I don't know. I'm a yay for it. I don't really know where my thoughts are right now, but I'm a yay.
Yeah, I feel similarly to you guys. I think that the plot's moving forward well. I think that they're doing a good job of tying everybody's plots together, but still making them have, like, individual storylines going on. And it's making me wonder how it will tie together. I mean, I already know, but, like, just because I've watched ahead. But I think, like, I would have been wondering, you know, like, what's gonna happen with Megumi and Nobara when they meet back up with Yuji. You know, nobody knows that he's alive yet. What's gonna happen with Yuji's plot right now? With Junpei, you know, I think they've set up, like, a lot of good threads. I think there's still some stuff going on with Gojo. So...
What's not going on with Gojo?
Something's always going on with Gojo. So yeah, I think that they have done a good job at kind of building it up. It feels like it's going to lead to something. And then they've got the Kyoto exchange event that's going to happen soon as well. So we get a nice little tournament arc, I'm guessing. So yeah, I'd give it a yay.
I would also give it a yay. I'm not going to repeat a whole lot of what was said because I pretty much agree with all of it. All I will say is that with the new, like, curses, like, every villain is lemons, that I feel like they're opening up a good bit of, like, potential plot for, like, different, you know, baddies that we're going to be seeing throughout the next several episodes, although they'll probably not show up immediately because we're already sort of, like, dealing with Mahito right now. But they're probably going to show up down the line, and I'm excited to see them. So, yeah, plot's a yay.
So I'm going to give the plot a very slight yay border because I liked episode 9 because basically episode 7 was pretty much all around the action sequence between Gojo and Jogo, and yeah, it was an awesomely animated action scene, but there really wasn't much plot-wise besides that. I'll be completely honest, when I first watched episode 8, that was the episode that made me drop the show for a month before I got back into it, because I couldn't stand the episode at all. I didn't find any of the humor funny. The episode was titled Boredom, and I was basically bored checking my phone the entire time. I was not getting it at all, and my frustration with the show the previous weeks kind of melded up to the point where it's like, yeah, I don't get the hype, and I dropped it. But then I heard everyone online on Reddit saying that episodes 9 through 13, the rest of the first half of the season, were really good. So a month later, I decided to give it another chance, and episodes 9 through 13 are my favorite stretch episodes in the series, and episode 9 starts it off really well. I was invested with the investigation of the theater. I was investigated immediately with Nanami as a character. So mixed bag overall, but I guess I'll give it a very slight yay.
Well, that sounds overall a yay. Some people a little less yay than others, but, you know, still a pretty solid yay for the most part. Why don't we talk characters? Gav, go for it.
Oh god, there's so many characters. Okay. Let's see if I can remember everyone's names. So you got, I mean, you already met, like, okay, you know your main characters. You got, you know, Yuji, Itadori, you got Megumi Fushiguro, you got, Nobara. No one ever calls her by her last name, so, like,
What is her last
whatever. But you got Nobara. And then you got Gojo, and they're great as always. They're rocking it. You got, like, stuff going on with them, mainly with Yuji, like, and he's learning, like, how to become a stronger sorcerer. And then you see more of Gojo being extremely badass. Like, you actually see him, like, in a legitimate fight. I think this might be the first time we've seen him in, like, a go all out in a fight, but it's really cool. And he's just, like, showing us more of what his character is like. And then you got Jogo that you see more of, and you see, like, that he's this, powerful curse. And, yeah, it's kind of cool to see, like, what he's got going on for him, because before he was just kind of, like, angry volcano curse thing. I'm all talk, no action, but now here we are. And so that was cool to see him in action. And then, let's see, who else do we got? You got, Todo, who is very interesting because he's, like, this big guy, and he's, like, obsessed with women, and specifically this, like, idol girl who's, don't ask me her name because I can't remember her name, but this idol. Yeah, he's, very into her, and, I think he's kind of funny how he's, like, this, like, so aggressive, but then is, like, into, like, I guess, idols and stuff. It's very interesting. But anyway. And then you got Mai, who is a bitch, and is Maki's twin sister. And she's, like, an interesting character in, like, a way. Like, they don't make her, like, an unlikable bitch. I think they make her, like, an okay bitch.
An okay bitch.
Yeah.
Gav 2021.
Yeah. And then you got, oh god, you get to see more of the second years. So you got Maki, and you learn that she can't, like, she has no cursed energy, like, she uses cursed objects instead. Like, objects imbued with, like, cursed energy, I mean. And we find that out because of, like, her sister, Mai. And, yeah, so you get to learn some more about her, and then you actually get to see, Inumaki's, power in action. His, like, a word thing going on. His, like, cursed word speech. I forget what his power is actually called.
If you know Marvel, it's Black Bolt.
But, yeah. And then, Panda's there, and he kicks some butt. So, yeah, you get to see more of the second years, which is great, because I was like, I want to see them more in action. And that's not even all the characters. I'm still going. You got Mahito, who's the patchwork face, as we're calling him. And he is something, alright, with his, like, personality. You can just tell that he's, like, sinister in this, like, very, like, I don't know how to, like, describe it, but he's, like, it's either you love him or you hate him. And Chibi hates him.
I absolutely do.
I think he's pretty cool.
I mean, not that he's not a cool villain, it's just, I hate him. I hate him a lot, and I'm supposed to hate him.
Yeah.
That's fair.
I mean, we're supposed to hate the Joker, but I love the Joker.
Gav's kind of got a thing for villains. I mean, who was that one clown guy he was super into?
Oh, the Hunter x Hunter villain?
Hisoka?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, anyway, Mahito's pretty cool. You get to see his, like, ability with like turning people into like half curses, kind of like manipulating their body, or I guess manipulating their soul is really what he's doing, to get them to look like these monsters. And then Nanami is so relatable. He's like,
Yes.
he's the most relatable character in the whole show, hands down. I'm just saying it.
Yeah.
He's like,
He's so damn tired all the time.
yeah, he's so tired and he's just so done with everything. And he's like, you know, being a sorcerer is shit, work is shit, everything is bad. So I just chose the like better of the two, and it's very funny. But he's pretty like badass himself. He's like, you know, Gojo level. And then you got Junpei, who's this right now. We've only seen. Well, I mean, I know more about Junpei because I've watched ahead, but like right now, he's like this kind of curious, like sad little man. Sad, strange little man.
Little man.
Yeah.
You have my pity.
Yeah. And it's getting beat up on by these douches at school. And then he gets, like, picked up by Mahito. And yeah, that's a lot of characters that I just said right there. And
you saved us the trouble of introducing all of them.
Yes.
Yeah, 'cause I certainly didn't do any of that.
So yeah, they're I think that they're all pretty cool as I described them when I was talking about them. Like, I think you learn a lot about each of the characters, that makes them likable in their own way, and you get like some development from some of the characters we already know stuff about, so that's good. So you get development and then new introduction to unique characters that pique your interest. So I'd say a yay for the characters. Sorry, that was so long.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to bother to repeat any of that, but I agree that the characters were a strong point for me this week. I think that they did a good job, as Gav said, of continuing with the characters that were already established, and they introduced so many new characters, but I feel like for most of them I got a really good idea of who they were, and they actually made me care about these characters pretty quickly, which is unusual. So, for instance, Junpei, I think they made him sympathetic enough that even, you know, with his stuff with, Patchwork, what's his name again?
Mahito.
Even with that... Mojito.
Oh, that joke.
Yeah.
You know, you still really, like, sympathize with the guy, which I think is really good, in his relationship with Yuji and everything. Nanami, as everybody else said, was really great and very relatable. He was a mood. I liked the other students we saw, like Toto. I think he, you know, really made an impression along with Mai. So I thought that they were good additions. And we got to see, like, little quirky things about them, and, like, with the idol and stuff. So I think that they came off as more than just rivals, which I appreciate. Like, I appreciate when we can actually see more about a character that gives them layers a little bit, and not just, oh, this is a bad guy, oh, this is a rival. So I think they did a pretty good job of actually making these people feel like characters, even if they're not supposed to be totally likable. At least for the moment, though maybe they will be later on. I'm not going to spoil anything. I'm trying to think of any other standouts. I don't know. All around, like, I think, everything progressed pretty well. I think Gojo was badass with his fight. He didn't really get much character development or anything, but it was pretty
Does
badass.
he need it?
I don't know that he needs
Them
it.
eyes, man.
Do we not like Gojo?
Yeah, I mean, we already like him. And I feel that that goes for a lot of the characters, that it's just easy to like them. And I think they give them these little, like, moments that just make them relatable or likable. And I appreciate all that. So I would give it a yay.
I will also give the characters a yay. We didn't really get, like, development with, like, Gojo or anything, but I feel like he kind of showed us a little bit of, like, what exactly he can do, which was pretty awesome, because that gives us at least, like, a more concrete, like, sort of idea of what his powers are actually like. I liked all the new characters they introduced. All the curses are very interesting. Like, Mahito is a character that, like, you love to hate, obviously. Well, at least in my case. I really liked Yuji in these episodes. I really loved Nanami. He was great. I don't really have bad things to say about the characters in these episodes, so I'm gonna give it a yay.
Kind of like with the plot for me, I'm going to give it a soft yay because Yuji, he's getting, I guess, a little bit more knowledge, from his mentors. I mean, Gojo, his eyes and the domain expansion were all the character development you needed for him, because that was just like, yeah, this guy's the real deal. He's the real shit. There's a reason why even the special grade curses fear him because of that. The Patch Face, I think he's a really good villain. Yeah, I'm kind of speaking, a little bit up ahead because I've been watching the rest of the season, but I think he has a pretty good start. Same thing with Junpei. I think he has a nice introduction to him. You feel sympathetic towards him. Nanami, yeah, he's one of my favorite characters. Other than Gojo, he might actually be my favorite character because, yeah, you're right. He is just a mood, but a good mood, a very mood for the time that we're living in right now. And Nobara and Megami, we really don't see a ton of them. In fact, in a lot of shots, we see Panda fucking throwing Nobara, which it kind of cracks me up every time we cut to see that. But I could not. Maki is your stereotypical anime bitch, at least right in the beginning. The big guy's name, what was his name again?
Do you mean Mai?
Or Mai, excuse me.
I thought Maki was the nice one.
You see, damn it, names and confusion.
Yeah, no, I get it.
Mai is the typical anime bitch. What was the guy's Toto? Is that his name?
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah, I couldn't stand the motherfucker. I was just watching the screen, watching the episode. I'm thinking, why do you exist, you big stupid fucking oaf? Like, I don't like you. And spoiler alert, he gets a little bit more interesting down the line, but I still don't like his personality. I'm just gonna be completely honest. So he kind of dragged episode 8 through the mud through me, but episode 7 and 9 definitely had some interesting characters, so I'll give it a soft yay.
Are you gonna go into it?
I'm going to go into it. Okay, so if I could direct your attention to share screen real quick.
Share.
So, how do I just share my whole screen? Damn it, I don't know how to do this.
Hit the button that says share your screen.
Share your screen.
How do I share my whole... Oh, wait, here it is. I'm just going to do 480. Hopefully that'll just... won't crash anything.
I can see it.
Yep.
So,
I got a whole presentation.
Oh, yay.
You made a PowerPoint.
We've brought this up before.
Yes. Uh-huh.
But it wasn't until these episodes that I really started to see a lot of similarities with another show that I am quite a big fan of.
Yep.
So,
Wah, wah.
So much.
And I will be bringing up pictures for the people actually watching at home and that. So, we've obviously made the comparison for this character, Gojo.
Yes.
The spiky, white-haired guy who hides his eyes half the time and actually has, like, special eye powers underneath and is the very cool teacher type, you know. We know this guy, and we've seen him in another show.
Yep.
Yep.
He's Kakashi.
We've also mentioned about Megumi being not too dissimilar to another person taught by the other guy.
Yes.
And if we really wanted to get into it, you know, you can't really make much of a comparison when it comes to, like, Nobara and Sakura. I mean, sure, they're both girls on the team, but one of them is actually useful in this series, and the other one is not. So, you know, the comparison kind of stops there. But then we get back to the spiky-haired, optimistic protagonist with the little marks on his cheeks and the demon inside of him.
Wow.
And, you know, normally I'd be like, let's leave it there. You know, we could compare the fact that, you know, this spiky-haired protagonist just so happens to also have an inner mindscape where he can communicate with said demonic entity.
Oh, jeez.
It gets so much worse.
Or perhaps even mention how there is a sunglass bespectacled goatee wearing very tough-looking dude who helps said person learn to control this demonic energy in a very significant way. Or that suddenly there are now a trio of 3 students who show up for an arc that includes a whole bunch of other people coming into your village and or town, that includes a girl with a weapon, a guy with a vague animal motif, and a very short kid with a stoic attitude and so much untapped potential and power. And one of whom, at a certain point, gets paired up with someone from the place that they're going to, not naming any names here whatsoever. But beyond that... Oh, let's not forget... some of the people who sent these people there happens to be a very old man with some very prominent eyebrows who also happens to have a serious issue with their teacher.
Okay, that one's like almost copied, I
You
gotta
know,
say.
You know, some of these comparisons are just like mostly aesthetic, somewhat character-based. But then, you know, you have the guy come in who is a dude who specializes in martial arts, who has hair that is very reminiscent of a tropical fruit, and challenges the Megami Sasuke character right before this big cultural exchange examination event, right after talking to him about women that he's very into, and then kicks his ass. I mean, you know, you start to see some very glaring similarities at that point. But even beyond that, let's talk about villains for a moment, and how there is a one-eyed egomaniac with multiple orifices from which he lashes out explosions and enjoys ambush tactics, who, you know, at one point also fights this mentor character with the spiky white hair and special eyes, and, you know, gets part of his body ripped apart by a black hole created by the special eyes, and, you know, this sort of infinite void that exists in one's own mindscape that is, you know, something that feels eerily similar to some other things that I've been seeing throughout my life, and is, of course, saved by a plant person with a black and white motif who has a weird way of speaking because he's very bizarre, who is also friends with a fish man. Who is also friends with a gray-haired individual who absolutely hates humanity and is covered in Frankenstein stitching.
No.
And a long-haired, cool kind of guy who is very dark and evil, who also learned most of what he got from the school that he is now using it against, and also led an uprising against them some time ago. Extra points if possibly he's connected to someone, and is part of their sad backstory. But, other than that...
Holy crap.
Wow.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Some of those were close to plagiarism. I gotta be real, like the Toto fight.
I'm not saying anything of that sort, but, I'm still a soft yay here, because I do like all the execution of what I'm seeing. Just to some degree, I feel like I've seen this somewhere else almost a little too closely. Still a soft yay.
Wow.
Yeah, I think they still do everything well, despite a lot of it being clearly mirroring or even downright, like, mimicking Naruto. I think they still did it well, but my god, yeah, those are a lot of similarities.
As someone who has not really watched any Naruto,
I
did not realize how similar they
I will
were.
say, a lot of that
Yeah.
came from Shippuden, and a lot of it came from the parts that we have not watched for that section of the Shonen Showdown, which will be next week. Make sure to watch for that. But yeah, so I'm still a yay. Just I gotta dock a couple points. You
know,
could
I'm gonna
have
be completely,
changed up
totally
a couple more things.
I'm going to be completely 100% honest. I've been on, the Reddit threads every week for, Jujutsu Kaisen. I have not seen one person make the comparison with Naruto. You're the first person I've seen.
Really?
I've seen comparisons of it, though it's mostly very, very small
Kakashi.
comparisons. Like, people make the Kakashi jokes, but, like, there's also a kid with a demon inside, and that's usually about where it ends, but...
And I mean, that's a trope in general. There's
Yeah,
so many.
I can't,
Yeah.
Luke Skywalker is how many other characters?
Right.
I
It's like the
can't
demon
fault you for
inside
that.
you. I mean, Blue Exorcist
There,
is another
yeah,
one right
you
off
could
my
make
head.
that one. I'm sure Bleach, had we kept watching, could have had something similar as well. But at a certain point, purely from an aesthetic standpoint, I gotta give you a little bit of side eye.
I think
so.
the suspicious ones are the old man and the Toto fight. I'm not sure about those two. That's a little much, but
You didn't find it weird that the lemon people are basically the Akatsuki?
the lemon people?
The evil people.
Oh, do you mean like the villains?
Yes,
mirror
the League of
each other?
Villains here, like, when I was comparing them to the other people, those are all people who are in one singular villain organization together.
Yes.
Yeah,
Also,
that is pretty
trying
true.
to capture the spirits and demons inside the protagonist on both sides of this.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dude, the
is
Stitch
true.
guy definitely looks a lot like Mahito.
Yeah, I just think they kind of stole a lot of other character elements from the others. Not the aesthetics was kind of just the one guy. So,
Mahito? With-
Yeah.
Maybe the power sets with like some of the other ones or something.
I don't know. I haven't seen a lot of the other power sets yet.
No, I'm talking about like the one-eyed guy. Like he doesn't look like Jogo. Like Jogo doesn't look like him, but I can see what
No.
you're saying
But,
in terms of the
yeah.
powers and stuff.
And the stuff that happens to him.
Okay, the scene as well.
The black hole thing is a little...
Wait, was that Kakashi who did that?
Yep.
Wow.
With his special eyes.
Wow.
So his special eyes also.
We'll get... You know what? That's a conversation for... It's much later. Spoilers. But yeah. Anywho, we're still pretty much a yay for characters. Let's actually get back on task here. I just needed to get that off my chest in some sort of format. World building?
Sure.
It's your turn.
All right, world building. Let me think about what we got in this one. Well, we definitely got Gojo's domain expansion and Jogo's domain expansion. So we got more about that, and Gojo kind of explained all that stuff to Yuji, which was really interesting in my opinion. And I liked, I don't know, just the power sets we saw, and I mean Gojo's like infinity and everything was, I think it was done really well. It made for a really exciting scene. And we got to see like just how powerful he is and why he's number one. And we also got to see how powerful Jogo was, but clearly he couldn't match up to Gojo. But still, their powers all looked really cool, and I think they explained it in a way that made sense and wasn't too over-explained, but still, like, I think because of all the awesome visuals, it didn't even matter that there was some exposition. Plus, he was teaching Yuji at the time, so it felt fine. So there was that. I think we got a little bit more. Was this the one where we got a little bit more about Maki and the weapons and stuff? I think we did in this one. So we got to know, like, how, you know, some people can still use the weapons infused with curses even if you can't even see curses. Like, she has to use her glasses in order to even see them. So we got some of that information too. I thought that was well incorporated. We got some of the stuff with Mahito. I think he did maybe talk to Junpei about some stuff. We also got to see his powers, which are pretty gruesome and interesting. I don't remember if they were explained very much yet, but still an interesting visual. I think we got some stuff from Nanami a little bit. So I would say overall, especially just because, as we've talked about before, Yuji is new to the world, so we can kind of learn along with him, so it all feels really natural. I think it was done pretty well, all the world building, and I definitely think learning more about the powers is always interesting, the weapons and all that, so I would say, from what I remember, I would give world building a yay.
I'm gonna give world building a yay as well. I'm not gonna repeat a whole lot of what you said because basically I agree with most of it. The only thing I can really think to mention about it is, like, Junpei can see Mahito, so the thing is like, normal people without, like, the cursed sight can't see them, so I kind of, like, I don't remember if they explain it, like, later on because I have already watched ahead, but the question is like, do they ever really explain that, or does it get explained, like, why he can see him? Is it just because of, like, the negative emotions that he feels at the time? Because we obviously see, that he is being, like, bullied at school very, very terribly, which is also why he left school, because he wanted to get away from all of it. So I kind of would maybe like that to be explained a little bit more, because I feel like that would be an interesting tidbit. But yeah, I'd give world building a yay.
To answer your question, Chibi, I think they did answer that later on in the next couple episodes. My opinion is pretty much the exact same as Yin, so I won't say any more. It's a yay for me.
I think I'm a yay here also. Despite my ranting and raving in the last one, I still think, like, for this world, they are giving us the information in a decent amount every episode. I didn't really mention before, we were also seeing, like, Yuji using the cursed energy. Oh boy, he draws cursed energy into his fist and then releases it at the point of contact, exactly like Sakura does in Shippuden with her chakra. But
I mean, that's the kind of power a lot of people.
Okay, yes,
could
I
have
can't
in the
really
anime.
knock that entirely away
I don't
from
think
someone.
it's totally
just
a
it was
copy.
everything else on top of it that just made me like, too close. But still a yay here, because we are learning more every episode, basically, about world, the characters who inhabit it, the creatures, everything. You know, every episode seems to expand upon this world and making it more solid, more, I don't want to say real because, you know, but more three-dimensional, for the best way I can describe it. So I'm a yay.
Yeah, I'm a yay. I think they did a good job explaining, like, all the stuff, even if it was, like, through characters explaining it, kind of like how we talked about, like, before. Like, I think it's kind of necessary to, like, for the characters to explain what exactly is going on, as you are seeing it, because otherwise I don't think you would understand, like, just what's happening. But, like, it works also because it's, like, in a learning perspective, and then it's in, like, casual conversation with, like, Nobara and Maki, and then it's, like, within more learning instruction with Nanami and, you know, Yuji So I don't know, but I think it still works, and that they did a good job at explaining a lot of things in these 3 episodes we watched. So it's a yay for me.
Kind of sounding like yays all around for world building. Let's move on into art and animation. Chippy, why don't you take us away?
Well, we can see where a good portion of Mappa's budget went.
Them eyes.
Them eyes, that fight, more fighting. Yeah, no, like that whole fight scene in episode 7 was chef's kiss. So, and even at that, like, the animation in general is just pretty good. I was enjoying the fight scene with Megami and Toto a good bit. Like, I can't form words right now when it comes to art and animation, but I will say, like, character designs for all of the, League of Villains, the Lemons, those are all pretty cool. Obviously, we've already met Jogo, Hanami, and all of them already, but they're still pretty cool to see. Mahito is really the only real new person, and Nanami. Like, I like their character designs. Nanami is, like, you can tell he's very serious, but then he also has, like, that leopard print tie, so I'm like, interesting choice. And then Mahito's just... He's a cool-looking villain, for sure, definitely. Yeah, art and animation, give it a yay.
Yeah, I really don't have any complaints at all with the art and animation. I mean, obviously for years when people were thinking of, like, anime studios that knows how to make, big action-packed stuff, you would think of Madhouse, you would think of Ufotable, you would think of Bones, but now you're going to have to put Mappa in that conversation too, because they know how to animate good fight scenes, and episode 7 proved that. And yeah, all the other characters were designed well, and all the other art and animation was done well. I really have no complaints at all with the technical of the show, so it's a high A for me.
I don't want to bring up my slideshow again. So animation is a yay, without a doubt. And I think enough was changed aesthetically for the most part that I can give it a yay here and not feel bad about it.
You are really salty.
I'm not salty, I'm just a little in shock at how much happened.
He's just disappointed.
A little bit.
Wow.
But, the only ones aesthetically that I'm really like, that's a little too close, were the two heads of the school at Gojo.
I think the old man is the only one where I'm like,
that was way
too
So 3 out of,
close.
like, how many things I had to bring up? Okay, yeah, I won't dock points. So, art and animation, yay from me.
I really like the character designs that we get from the new characters that were introduced, and then I also think that the animation and all the fight scenes is absolutely, like, astounding. It's just really, really, really well animated. Like, holy shit, those fight scenes are just so good. And there are a lot of fight scenes too, so they just give us a lot to work with there. But yeah, it's a yay for me.
Yeah, it's definitely a yay for me too. I don't want to repeat too much of what everybody else said because, I mean, I pretty much agree. I think the fight scenes in particular look amazing, but really everything in this show looks amazing. I don't think they skimped on anything, which is great. Like, there aren't those weird little moments when people are just talking where it looks strange. I think it always looks good, which is nice. I can definitely see what Al's talking about some characters looking a little too close to Naruto, but at the same time, I've read some interviews by the author, and he has said that he's just, like, a big fan, and I think he even acknowledges, like, that he kind of like took some stuff from Bleach and Naruto and stuff like that, and it's more of an homage than anything else. So even though I joked about like, oh, it's like borderline plagiarism or something, it's really not, you know. He is just like kind of paying tribute to the stuff that he loved as a kid, and you know, I think it's far enough that it doesn't bother me too much, even though some stuff is a little like iffy, I kind of agree with, but I think for the most part it feels okay, and I like the character designs. And I think some of them are creative, even though, you know, it looks a little close to Naruto. I think it's done pretty well, so I'd give it a yay.
It sounds like a yay from everyone for art and animation. I didn't really have any doubts about that. Sound and dubbing. Envy, why don't you take it away?
Sound and dubbing. Well, kind of like with art and animation, I have no complaints at all with the sound effects. The sound effects in the show are really great, with all the action, with all the curse energy techniques that you learn, and it just, yeah, it's superb. But like the sound design in the show is really, really damn good. And as far as the dubbing is concerned, I don't think anybody does a bad job. In fact, most of the cast, I think, does a really good job. With I don't mind his voice, David Vincent. He does Nanami. Like, I don't mind his voice. It's just that with the other cast, like, when it comes to sub versus dub, you know, people have their preferences. I will say with this show, you could be pretty good with either or, except for Nanami. I love Nanami's sub voice actor, like, a lot. His name is Kenjiro Susada. He's one of my favorite anime voice actors. If you hear his voice, you can hear him in a lot of other shows recently, because he's been like very prolific, and I just think his sub voice suits the character a lot more than the dub voice actor. Again, it's not a bad voice, it's just I just think that sub voice actor fits the character a lot better, but otherwise everyone else did a decent job. Even Toto's voice actor, while I couldn't stand the character, I thought he did a good job voicing him. So sound and dubbing, I give a yay.
I give this a yay too. I don't really have any complaints here. Everything sounded pretty good. I do have a highlight, Gojo flirting with Jogo while he's like, here, go ahead, touch my hand.
This.
Ooh. I don't
funny?
remember the exact words, but like, yeah, this just did a very good job. I think everyone's doing a good job on this. Yeah, no complaints. Good dub.
Oh, I forgot to
Yay.
mention the one line when Gojo was not Gojo, when Toto was talking to Megami about like his voice, like his preferred woman. In both the subbed and the dub, they kept the line of "I like a girl like Jennifer Lawrence." So it's like, okay, random, but okay.
That actually made me think, like, I feel like Toto's gonna like Yuji a lot better. He actually has an answer.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. So for the dub, well, we're on me, right? Just making sure.
Yeah.
Yes.
You're good. I'm good to speak. Okay. So, the dub, I think, is pretty good. Everyone does a pretty good job with their roles, I think. And also, I enjoyed the music so much. Actually, that's not. Wait, is that now the score?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. I enjoy the score so much when the fights are happening. Like, I think the music that they choose is, like, very, like, fitting in a funny kind of way. Because there's, like, it's, like, almost, like, intense rap from, like, what I hear, at least in, like, the Gojo Jogo fight. And I was like, this slaps. Like, this is really great. So... yeah, and usually I don't notice, like, the score playing in the background, so... But I noticed it this time, and I thought it was really good, so yeah, yay for me.
Yeah, I would also give this a yay. I don't have that much to add, but I think all the voices sounded pretty good. Score sounded good. Nothing really stuck out to me as sounding bad, so I'd give it a yay.
Yeah, no complaints. Yay.
Sounds like yays all around. Let's get into openings and endings. I'm keeping it short. It's a yay for me. I mean, good opening, good ending. It hasn't changed, and we don't want it to. Actually, you know what we should say? It did change a little bit. We think... I'm not sure 100%. I'd have to go back and look. But I think they're adding, like, a little bit of extra Sukuna, like, tattooing or something early, like, at the beginning of the opening. Mm-hmm. Like, I wasn't sure whether the, like, little things had been changing just a touch. But... You know, if it does, cool. If not, whatever. It doesn't change anything.
As far as I can tell, the only things that are really changing are the people that are standing in that one little, like, outdoor park scene towards the end. I actually did go over the opening quite a bit with a fine-tooth comb when I was watching it the one day.
That's see fine. If anything else was... Adding as it keeps going, filling it out a little bit more, that's cool. There's nothing to complain about here for me. It's just two solid songs. Yay.
I really like both the opening and the ending a lot. And the visuals are good for both of them. Yay.
Yeah, I don't have much different to say than I already said a few episodes ago when we did the this category before, so it's still yay.
Yeah, I'm still yay here too.
Yeah, I mean, the opening, visual-wise, it's gorgeous. I like the song a lot. I mean, you guys know how much I love Lost in Paradise. I want to recreate that and the visuals in, like, a CMV one day, because I think that'd be pretty awesome.
It's a lot of editing.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean,
cool, though.
I mean, if you break it down by individual segments, I mean, but yeah, it's a high yay, yeah.
Certainly sounds like yays all around for openings and endings. Let's get into final thoughts. Gav, go ahead.
Overall, I really liked these episodes, and I really like the show. And, I mean, I've continued watching past this, so I would, it's a yay for me.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. You all know what a fan I am of the show and the manga, so obviously I would continue watching as I have. In every category I gave it a yay, which says how much I really like the show. I think they're doing a great job with it, so I give it a
yay. Well, as far as final thoughts are, yeah, I'd continue watching this. I've already continued watching it, so yeah, it's yay.
All I can say for me personally is thank goodness for episode 9, because if it wasn't for episode 9, I would have dropped the show. That's all I'm going to say, but I'm glad I did, because episodes 9 through 13 were, like, a masterpiece. So, yeah, 7 was pretty good, but it was mainly a giant action scene. I couldn't stand episode 8, and episode 9 literally brought me back into the show. So, kind of a softish shade there.
So I'm apparently the only person who did not watch ahead. And I will not watch any more of it, because I just did that whole thing with, like, stealing art. No, I could make a whole bunch of different arguments and whatnot. It's a very entertaining show, and I want to continue watching it. I'm looking forward to seeing more of it. Win or lose today, I'm going to finish the show. I mean, I can say that about, I feel like, almost, like, half the things that we've watched in this tournament. So
that's fair.
Yeah.
Yeah, so sounds like an overall yay for final thoughts as well. Solid show. But you know what else is a pretty good show? Demon Slayer, and that's the other thing that we watched this week.
Yes.
So Demon Slayer. What happened in Demon Slayer? So Demon Slayer, we pick up in the fight with the triplet demons in the ground, and Nezuko popped out the box, and she's about to play whack-a-mole with a bunch of people's heads.
Yeah.
In which she do, and it's the demon fight, and Tanjiro's trying to figure out how do I fight these things without leaving the people here unguarded and dealing with them like popping in and out of the ground. Of course, Nezuko solves that, because all he has to do is say, Nezuko, come here, defend these people, and she do it, and then he jumps in a hole down into I believe they call it a swamp, into the swamp realm of these swimming, burrowing, shadow jumping demon triplets, and he slices them up in a whirlpool for hopping back out, and Nezuko is just beating the crap out of this other one, but it starts to like learn Nezuko's moves because Nezuko don't got that like skillful training. They're a little bit too unskilled brute force kind of barbarian style. So it's about to cut up Nezuko a little bit, but then Tanjiro jumps out, cuts him up, and he's like, "Hey, tell me about Michael Jackson. I mean Muzan Kibichibi, whatever the guy's name is." He's like, "I can't tell you that." And he's like, "Hey, tell me about that." He's like, "I can't tell you about that. It's not gonna do it. No." And so Tanjiro finishes him off, and he walks off into the sunrise with Nezuko in the box, and the crow tells him, "Hey, you gotta go to Tokyo, because there's your next assignment." So he goes to Tokyo, and he is overwhelmed by the city. It is, air quotes, modern times, not our modern times, but modern times for him. And it's, oh my god, there's lights everywhere, and buildings that are like 3 stories tall, and there's banners everywhere, and so many friggin' people, and he's like, it's an overwhelming experience. He has to go off to a side street somewhere and get some udon noodles, which he does not finish, because he smells the smell.
The smelly smell.
You know that smell. That smelly smell that smells. Smelly. He smells the person who demoned up Nezuko. And he chases it off into a crowd and finds Michael Jackson. It's Muzan, but he looks like Michael Jackson. Everyone's said this before, but it needs to be acknowledged.
Yeah.
It's the man in the mirror, everybody.
I was going more smooth criminal, but yeah, that works too.
Okay, yes. He wasn't all white suit yet. I don't know. He's the king of pop. We know that. Definitely a couple post-surgeries, but
Yeah.
yeah, he finds him and he's like, "I'm gonna kill," and then he finds out he has a daughter and a wife who are human, and he's like, "What the fuck is going on?" And then Michael Jackson slashes to the back of some guy's neck, and that person becomes a demon. And Tanjiro's like, "Demon, stop, no!" And he tackles the demon, and Michael Jackson gets away. And the police come to take out him and the demon, but then another lady, who is also demon, shows up and cuts her wrist to make stinky blood go everywhere that smells like flowers and illusions and magic. And she helps Tanjiro escape. And she's like, "Hey, so I'm a demon. You're looking for demons, but not this demon, because I'm a good demon." And he's like, "What the fuck is going on?" She's like, "Come to my place, we'll explain." And then her, I forget his name, we'll just call him the simp. He goes and Tanjiro has to go pick up Nezuko, and he has to eat 2 bowls of udon noodles because he dropped the first one. And the man, not an old man, but the man running the shop was like, "I don't care if you didn't pay or anything like that, but you dropped my noodles on the ground without eating them. That is an insult." So he eats 2 bowls of noodles, says they're delicious, and he's walking off with Nezuko. And the simp shows up, and he's like, "This is a bad idea, but the mistress wants you to come to the house, and you can bring that unattractive person with you." And he's like, "Sorry? The fuck you say? Unattractive? And he, goes off a little bit. But he follows the simp back to the lady's hideout, and she's like, "Hey, I'm a demon and a doctor, and I'm not cursed by Michael Jackson anymore, so I can talk about him. Also, we're trying to not be demons anymore, and, figuring that out is tough, but we're trying. It only took me 200 years how to figure out how to make a demon. Imagine, the short amount of time it'll take me to figure out how to undemon someone." And Tanjiro's like, "Well, I'll help whatever way I can. Can you let me take your sister's blood and maybe collect blood from, like, I don't know, a whole bunch of really, really powerful demons?" And he's like, "Well, I'm doing this job already. Why not?" And then demons show up because Michael Jackson was having a bad night. Someone said something about his pale skin, and he killed a whole bunch of people. Some horrifically. My goodness. If you want a bad way to die, let Michael Jackson finger you. And
Oh my god.
yeah, I felt bad about it the moment I said it. So he sends two, I don't want to call them lesser demons, but like everyone's a lesser demon than him. He sends two of his crony demons to find Tanjiro, and they do because the dude sees his footprints and they go into a wall, and he's like, well, clearly there's something through that wall, and they go through the wall, and then I'm just gonna call her Sayaka because she's Sayaka. Sayaka grabs her little bouncy balls and destroys half the house, and yeah, so they're in a bit of a tight spot. So they got to fight these two. One of them has 6 arms and a bra that should not be able to hold up when you have 6 arms, but does it anyway. And she throws balls that destroy things. And the other guy has eyes on his hands and can... How would I describe this? He creates motion vectors? Kinetic vector arrows that can move and manipulate objects and people. And that's not an easy thing to fight against. But they got to do it. So... yeah, they're it's a whole big fight with that. Eventually Tanjiro figures out, oh, if I match the direction of the arrows that he's shooting at me, I can stop them from essentially doing what they're doing in a negative way. And he eventually figures out if he uses a combination of his different breathing techniques, like the whirlpool mixed into his, what do they call it? Like gentle dance, gentle stream, something. Whatever Form 3 is. It's very flowy. He's able to take the vectors that this guy has shot at him, redirect them at the guy so that he can use the guy's own power. It's kind of like a sort of like a judo move, using your opponent's own energy against them, and he chops off that guy's head. But now he's got to deal with 6-armed lady who grew back her arms like Piccolo did, man. And that's where we end off. Probably missed a bunch of stuff. Did I miss a bunch of stuff?
Sounded good.
Okie dokie. What did we think about this plot? Gav? No. Yin, you're up.
Me. Okay, so this is actually one of my favorite arcs in the first season. So I really like this plot, if I'm gonna be honest. We get to see like a whole different side of the world now because we get to see the city, and I thought it looks really cool. But also the main thing that happens is we get to meet Muzan, who's the big bad who killed Tanjiro's family. And I really didn't expect to see him this early on. Like, usually in anime it takes a while to see the actual big bad. Usually in any show or book or whatever it is, it takes a while. So I was totally expecting not to see him, but it actually didn't dampen it for me. Like, it didn't make him feel less intimidating. It actually made him feel more intimidating because we could see like some of his power and everything. He's still fairly mysterious. So even though we got to see him this early on, I feel like they left enough questions about him and his powers and just how powerful he is that I was okay with seeing him this early on. And it actually made things feel more real and tangible for our hero. So I liked that, and I liked seeing his demon cronies and stuff. And the other demon, I think it was the first time we saw like a nice demon who's actually very in control of herself, unlike Nezuko. So it was interesting to see that with the doctor lady. She was very sympathetic to other people's plights. So I think we saw like a different side of what demons can be, which maybe goes more into world building, but it was kind of the plot too. So I liked all of that. I liked the little battle we got. I think that there was a lot of progression in these episodes in terms of world building, in terms of characters, plot, everything all tied together really nicely. So I would definitely give the plot a yay here.
Yeah, I would also give it a yay. It feels like we're going along at a decent clip. We've got different stuff sort of happening in each episode. we've got the fight with the swamp demon finishing up. And then we're going into the city, obviously. And meeting Muzan, and then meeting Tamayo and Yushiro in those months, and then Muzan sending 2 other demons of Susumaru and Yahaba after them. And it all kind of like, usually when things just jump around quite a bit, like I get jarred sometimes, like it's kind of jarring. Because I'm like, I feel like I'm floundering. But this all felt like kind of cohesive, and sort of like made sense with where it was going. So yeah, I'd give it a yay.
Yeah, I'm not going to really say anything more than what you guys said. I pretty much agreed with everything you two said. I like yeah, and I was very surprised that we saw the main villain of the series really early, but like they said, it made him feel more intimidating, and it made the audience realize that, yeah, Tanjiro is way out of his league. Like, if it wasn't for his wife and kid right there, he would have just killed him in a second. So yeah, it definitely built up the tension there. And yeah, most of these episodes are built on action, but it still flows pretty well together. So yeah, I give it a yay.
I think I'm also a yay here. Outside of the cool fights that we get to see, we're being introduced to even more of what's going on in this world. Like, the big bad is a big important thing, but also the doctor and everything else. Like a lot of what you guys were touching on. But like, no matter what, it keeps moving, and it feels like it's moving in a very good direction for this series. So yeah, I give it a yay.
There's not much I could say that has not been said already. But yeah, I don't know. Like, I think the plot is progressing at a good pace. And definitely we're getting into like the fights now that like matter with like under Muzan's like Michael Jackson's his like lackeys. I forget the actual like terminology they use for his like 12. Someone help me out here.
Something with a K.
Kizuki.
Yeah. And so there's that, and I think that was a good way to like introduce Tanjiro into like fighting those demons that are to come. And yeah, so I'd give it a yay.
Sounding like yays overall for plot. Why don't we move on into character? Chibi, go for it.
So for characters, I really enjoyed all the characters that we got within these 3 episodes. Tanjiro, I think we saw a little bit of his less forgiving side, at least in episode 7 and in episode 8, where he, like, basically views the swamp puddle demon as, like, abhorrent and is just, like, very much filled with loathing for this particular demon for destroying all these people in their lives, specifically just because he wants to eat all the ladies before he gets old. So that was an interesting thing that I saw. I was like, I must take a note of this, because this is a behavior that we haven't really seen from him before, because he's always been very forgiving and, like, kind of wanting them to, like, go to a decent resting place, even though they've done some horrible things. But this was the first instance where we hadn't really seen that. So, I felt that was a little interesting to bring up. Nezuko is being badass, kicking ass, being cute. She's adorable. Let's be honest. And then we did get to meet Muzan, who... Hi, Michael Jackson. He's an interesting villain. I really do like him. He's very intimidating and scary, and the thing is like, The only thing that really bothers him to bring up about him is that he is on death's door and looks like he's sick. Which I think that's a little telling about his past, or at least what kind of person he was in his past. That he may have probably been, like, sickly and close to dying at one point. Maybe, probably. So I feel he's interesting, compelling, and, like, honestly, I want to see more of him and, like, everything going on with him. And then we also have Tamayo, the doctor, and Yushiro, who is basically her assistant.
Listen.
Like, Tamayo is an interesting sort of character because she's a fugitive who has broken free of Muzan's curse, and has also been able to turn someone into a demon, Yushiro. I feel like she's just a very interesting character, and I want to see them do more with her. She also is definitely, more on Tanjiro's side, because she wants to get back at Muzan and also be able to heal demons from being demons. Yushiro, I'ma just repeat what you said, he's a simp. Not that it doesn't add for some comic relief, but I'm okay with him. He's not bad. And then we have the two other new demons, who are Susamaru and Yahaba, who are the Tamari demon and the Arrow demon, respectively. I think they're pretty cool. They got some interesting powers. Susamaru is definitely the one that we're seeing a little bit more of, because she's very active, very energetic, very, I want to beat them up and also bring them their heads. And Yahaba is a little bit more off to the side. He kind of seems like he's a bit of a clean freak. He doesn't like dust. But I also felt like he added some more things to the fight, because he was the one, while Susamaru was throwing the Tamari balls, that he was controlling them with the arrows. So I felt like it was an interesting way to, like, show how when demons work together, like, their powers can be, like, used in interesting ways. As far as characters are concerned, I'm a yay. I have nothing bad to say. I want to see more people.
Yeah, as for me, I like the growth that Tanjiro's doing. I especially like the I love the scene where Tanjiro defends Nezuko's honor when the guy called her ugly. That's like one of my favorite comedic scenes in the whole show. I love that scene. And then Nezuko, she is like the perfect balance of precious and will kick your ass too. So, like, that's awesome. And the nurse demon, I like her a lot. Yeah, like you said, she's a very interesting character in terms of her motivations and her backstory. What's the simp's name again?
Yushiro.
Yeah. He doesn't have the best first impression because, again, he insults Nezuko, so how dare you, and he hates Tanjiro for getting close to the nurse. But later on, we won't get there yet, but later on he kind of does warm up a little bit, but in these episodes he's, a simp, he's a jerk. And then Muzan, he's definitely an interesting villain for the limited time we got to see him. We can definitely tell why he's the big bad, but also he does have a compassionate side to him because he has a human wife and I guess a half human, half demon child.
Who's to say?
He's pretty.
Who's to say it's his?
Could be adopted.
Yeah.
I assumed that it was his biological kid, but I guess that is true. Maybe he could have killed the husband and brainwashed the wife, but
maybe she's a widow.
Regardless, he has a kid in some capacity, so you can definitely see that he's more multi-layered than just a stereotypical shonen baddie. And then the other villains, they don't have a lot of personality, but they make up for it in their cool powers. So overall, I'm a pretty decent yay.
I think I'm a yay here too. I feel like we're being introduced to plenty more people, and not only are we being introduced, but they seem already well-rounded for the most part. The simp is a little basic, but, you know, he's got his thing. Muzan, cool. The Doctor, cool. The new villains, cool. I mean, everything here seems to be shaping up pretty nicely, you know, and like I like how I think I could call this in character. I might be able to call this in world building maybe too, but I like how we're seeing now, especially the different sort of powers that the demons can have. Like we saw with the Shadow Puddle demon, and now these two other demons. You know, like we talked a little bit about demon blood art, but like now really seeing it and the kind of personality that also comes with it, I almost feel like to some degree their powers almost seem based a little bit on their personality. Like the Tamari demon uses playful bouncy balls. They are a very energetic, I would almost call them like cheerful person if they weren't so sadistic. The Clean Freak is very into control, and of course he would have powers that include him being able to control objects and people. The Shadow Puddle demon seemed very like a voyeuristic creep. And of course you would have something that allows you to move around in the shadows and pop out and grab people out of nowhere. So, yeah, I think it's been very interesting to see all of these people not only develop and be introduced. Like I don't feel like we didn't get like that much development today with Tanjiro and Nezuko, but I feel like getting a lot from the new characters was a big thing. So I'm a yay here.
I'm also a yay. I have to agree with you, Al. It doesn't seem like Tanjiro or Nezuko got like a whole lot of development, but I think that the new characters that you get make up for it, and they're all very interesting characters. So, yeah, it's just a yay for me. I'm not gonna repeat what everyone else said, but yay.
I'm gonna give it a soft yay, because kind of like what Al and Gab said, I didn't really get much from the actual heroes of the story. I just feel like from the beginning they've kind of stayed the same, and I like them. They're not unlikable characters, but I don't really see them develop very much. Whereas the demons I find very interesting. And that's mostly why I'm giving it a soft yay, because I don't know, I find Muzan really interesting. I found the demon with the balls and the demon with the arrows, I found them both very interesting. The Doctor was interesting. Yeah, the simp was a little bit basic, like Al said, but I thought he was still enjoyable as like a side character. He didn't need to be that deep or anything. So I liked everybody that was introduced, and I think I still find the demons really interesting and almost deeper than I often find the main characters. Once again, I'm still rooting for the main characters and I still like them. They're very likable, but I kind of wish I'd see a little bit more from them. So I'm just going to give it a soft yay.
Okay, still seems like an overall yay for everybody though for characters. Let's move along into world building. Envy, you're taking this one, right?
Yes, I believe so.
Okay.
World building. Well, obviously we get four. Well, technically six. Yeah, I had to count. We get 6 new demons, and each one has their own power, their own backstory, their own, motivation. 2 of them are obviously, we found out they're good. They're on the human side. We see, one of them's trying to cure demons to bring them back to normal, back to humanity, which is cool. We get to learn more again about Muzan and his motivations and a little bit of the organizational structure and how his tier system worked with his demons. And yeah, obviously we get to learn more about the different sword breathing techniques that Tanjiro uses. And yeah, it's a lot of it's subtle, but also a lot of it's broad too at the same time. There's a lot of moving parts throughout. So yeah, I think you get to learn a little bit more about the world of the demons and the world of the demon slayers a little bit in each episode. So yeah, I give it a yay overall for world building.
I think I'm a yay here too. I won't really bring up the demon power thing again. I feel like I already covered that in character, though it can kind of apply here as well. I like that we are learning more about this world. Like you mentioned, the doctor. There's more complexity to a lot of these demons and their backstories and everything, which kind of involves character as well. But just the possibility that you could have a demon who is not, subservient to the demon lord, essentially, that's big. That's a big bit of information that's probably going to be very important as the series keeps going on. And, learning also how Muzan does what he does, and, like I'm saying again, that death scene with the lady when he just pokes her in the head and starts injecting her with the blood, that's fucking freaky. And I'm like, that's like, looks like probably one of the worst ways to die. But we're seeing a little bit more of that kind of stuff. We're like getting into things like that, and God, what did I want to mention? Oh, right. We're also learning a little bit more about the setting. Like they kind of mentioned before, like what era they're in, but this is more or less happening somewhere in the realms of 1912 to 1915. So depending on exactly where they are, we're like a year away from World War One. And like that's really weird to think about. I don't know what's going to happen in the series. I have not read ahead. But it's weird to think that, assuming Tanjiro doesn't die as a young man, he likely could live long enough to see World War II. It's weird to think about, but it's like, huh. Anyway, I'm a yay for world building.
Yeah, I am also a yay for world building. I think they did a good job, talking about, like, mainly Muzan, I guess, and, like, creating the demons, because that was a big part of it, at least, and, yeah, I don't know, there's not much else I can add to it, but, yeah, I liked it all.
Yeah, there's not much more for me to add either. I kind of agree with what you guys said. I would give world building a yay.
I will also give world building a yay.
Damn, now you're just making me imagining an alternate history where Allied forces go to the Japanese islands and there's fucking demons attacking them with demon slayers during World War II.
I will throw it out there. It could be it could be a thing. Like, I mean, I don't think there's so many demons at that point. They seem still pretty secretive. I don't know that there's going to be a demon uprising at some point. Maybe there is. I don't know. But like, yeah, you could have like a thing where like afterwards, when the U.S. is occupying Japan, they got to deal with demon shit.
Oh.
Yeah, a lot of I don't know. It's very interesting to think about. It's like, did you guys ever? I saw a thing once where they were analyzing Disney movies and like the aesthetics of their clothing, buildings, things that were like landmarks, landscapes, stuff like that, and to figure out when they were happening, like when they were set. And what's weird to think about is Belle in Beauty and the Beast is living sometime in the late 1800s and more than likely would have been in the middle of World War One in a few years. Like, that's weird to think about.
Little.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
I mean, wasn't the Hunchback in Notre Dame like in the 1600s or something like that?
That's based on a specific book with a specific time, so that we can definitely say. But I was like talking, they were doing like more of the fairy tale stuff.
Okay.
Like when is Little Mermaid set? And I think based on the ships and some of the other stuff, it's set in like the Spanish occupied Caribbean during like the golden age of piracy.
So, like, 1800s-ish?
No,
1700s?
16 to 17, maybe.
Okay.
Yeah. Pre-America, by the look of it. But, yeah. Bit of a tangent, but, yeah, so, what would we be saying? Yays for world building? Why don't we head on into art and animation? I'll lead us on this one. It's Ufotable. What do you want? It looks fucking good. I saw a little bit in episode 7 with CGI Tanjiro walking away,
Yeah.
but you know, it's one little thing. I'll give you points everywhere else, man. It's solid. It's very solid. The water breathing techniques are very cool to watch. The demon attack stuff. It's like the fights are so dynamic and everything else. And everything else looks good. Nezuko, my god, you're so precious. You're adorable. And everyone else, they all look good. They look cool. I, generally speaking, don't know that I would have found Michael Jackson very intimidating when he was alive. But in this show, good god, he's terrifying. You know, I might have found him terrifying in other ways. I'm not going to speculate certain things. But, like, as a physical threat, like, yeah, Michael Jackson can kick my ass. This is scary. And you got to get points for that. So, yay for animation from me.
Yeah, the animation in this show is gorgeous. And the character designs are really nice too. Like, I've said before when we've watched this, like, love all the patterns you get, love all the, like, flowy, like, traditional clothing. It's all just really nice and aesthetically pleasing to look at. And yeah, it's yay for me.
Yeah, similarly to what we talked about in the first few episodes, I mean, the animation looks just as amazing. Yeah, there are a couple of parts where you can notice the CGI, but for the most part, I mean, the vast majority of the show looks incredible. Some of the most beautiful animation I've seen in anime. I stand by that. So I would absolutely give it a high yay for animation.
I will also give it a yay. It that one little walking cycle aside, it is definitely very beautifully animated. Because as you know, like sometimes like 3D animation really throws me off, especially in an anime format. But Ufotable is doing real good. Doing real good. Yeah, it's a yay.
Yeah, I mean, I really didn't notice the CGI because, again, like I've said before, I've seen a lot of modern anime that has terrible CGI. I'm not gonna bring up that Seven Deadly Sins scene again. Like actual shows that I've seen that I've even loved have had CGI that's just putrid. So that few seconds I really didn't notice. But yeah, everything else is like god tier animation wise, and I especially love the animation with the arrows, like with the one demon, like how Tanjiro had it. That whole sequence just and like that's not even the best animated action scene in the whole series, but like that whole scene was so unique. I've never seen animation and techniques like that before. I don't know how they did that, but I got to give props to the animators in the art department because they just went above and beyond with those sequences in particular. So yeah, it's a high yay for me.
That's a yay for animation. Let's move on into sound and dubbing. Gav?
Okay, so I really like the score for the show is always really, bless you, is always really good. And just very, like, especially, like, during the fight scenes and when things get tense, like, just really great. And the dubbing, it's, pretty good. I don't have many complaints about, like, the voices. I think the voice actors did a good job. So, yeah, I would give it a yay. I really liked, actually, what's his face? Is it Susu? Oh god, what's his name? GB, help me.
Which demon are we talking about?
The arrow one.
Yahaba.
Oh, Yahaba. Yeah, I really liked his voice. I thought he did a fantastic job. Is like kind of like a little bit pompous, like and made him sound like a rude boy, and I was like, yeah, he is kind of like seems like a jerk, like a self-absorbed jerk, and it was just very fitting. But yeah, I'd give it a yay.
I would give it a yay too. I don't have much different from the other week. I think the score is still amazing. The dub's still pretty good. I'd give it a yay overall.
Yeah, I have no complaints. The score was beautiful. Voices were good. Yay.
I mean, yeah, the sound is incredible. The music is really damn good. I'm still not the biggest fan of Tanjiro's voice, but I'm slowly getting the hang of his dub voice. But yeah, everybody else in the cast did a decent job. So yeah, I'm a yay too.
I got nothing to complain about here. I think everyone sounds good. I think the score's good. Yeah, yay. Is that a yay from everybody, basically?
Pretty much.
Okay, cool. Yays all around. Opening and ending. Yin.
Opening and ending. I do not have anything different to say about these. They still hold up. I think I gave them a yay before. Give them a yay again. Yep.
Yeah, I'll also still be giving them a yay.
Yeah, nothing much has changed. I love the opening. I gave it a fuck yay, and I love the ending too. So yeah, it's a high yay overall.
It's astounding how short these opening and ending sections have gotten now that we're actually like deep into the tournament. I'm a yay here as well. What else? I got yeah.
I will say this though, it's Demon Slayer is one of those rare two-core shows where they keep the same opening and ending throughout the whole season. Which I mean, when you have a song for both of them that are that damn good, you don't need another one.
Mm.
Yeah, I'm also a yay.
Yeah, that sounds like yays all around for opening and ending. Chibi, take us into final thoughts.
Final thoughts. I really love this show. I can also say I definitely really loved it because as I was watching these 3 episodes, when I was planning on catching up early last week, I actually went and watched the rest of the show. So now I'm all caught up. And I can't wait for the movie to come out. I'm giving this a high yay just because I was like, I gotta finish it all.
Yeah.
Yeah, like these episodes 7 through 9, they definitely keep building on each other, and and obviously with episode 9 ending again on another cliffhanger, you want to at least see the next episode. But yeah, I'm with Chibi. There's the rest of the season is just really damn good. There's a few little low points, but like when the stuff is good later on, it's legendary. But yeah, these 3 episodes definitely wanted me to keep going, so it's a high yay as well.
Going off of these 3 episodes only, I would give this a yay for final thoughts. I think that yeah, you're right. When you end in the middle of a battle, it's kind of hard not to want to see the next episode. Which I think they're very smart to cut a lot of their fights in half. That definitely makes you want to come back for the next one and the next one and the next one. But outside of that, the characters are likable. The plot is progressing. It's creating a very 3-dimensional world that I'm enjoying. Yeah, that's a yay.
Yeah, I think all the elements of the show are that we talked about are reasons to keep watching it and to give it a yay. So
Yeah, I would definitely give it a yay as well. For all the reasons you guys said and all the things we've been talking about, the show's pretty great. So yeah.
Yays all around. I gotta say, there's been a lot of yays said today.
No.
Now comes the fun part. Let's compare these two and eliminate one.
God.
Want to eliminate one?
I'm expecting I'm literally expecting everyone to pass on the art and animation category.
Well, we'll see if you're right and if you're wrong, and place your bets now as to who's going to win this fight. It's Jujutsu Kaisen versus Demon Slayer. I want to make sure I get everything right. I have that bracket thing that I took 20 minutes to make. I'm going to make sure I get it right. So let's get down to business to defeat the Huns. Plot. Who's leading this off? Envy, are you leading this off? Yeah.
Yes. This is a tough one for me because Demon Slayer's plot was more straightforward. It was more traditional. You know, you go from one fight to another fight. You obviously get, the revelation of Muzan. You get the revelation of the Doctor Lady and the fact that, there's not only good demons, but there's a demon trying to reverse, the effects of being a demon. But like I said, mostly it's action scene to action scene like a typical shonen. Great action scenes, but, there's that. With Jujutsu Kaisen, there's definitely more elements to it, at least, in episode 9, where you get, you get the introduction of a whole new arc. And then, episode 7 is a giant action scene, too. But I know I'm going to keep harping on this, and I'm probably the only one that's going to keep harping on this. But I just did not care for episode 8 at all. Yeah, I know it's introducing some characters we'll see later on, but, I just was... As the title of the episode says, I was bored throughout episode 8, and I did not like it, and that really dampened my enjoyment of the show for a month before I got back into it with episode 9. So, while I think Jujutsu Kaisen probably has more going on, I enjoyed everything about Demon Slayer. I didn't enjoy everything about Jujutsu Kaisen, so I'll give the edge to Demon Slayer for plot.
I'm not going to say that this is tough because I feel like we're going to be saying that too much today. Mm-hmm. But yeah, you all know. I'm debating back and forth. Envy, I'm hearing what you're saying. Then again, I didn't hate episode 8 as much as you, so that's not an easy...
Oh, I know I'm going to be in the minority when it comes to that. Well, I'm just,
Yeah. It's kind of interesting that these 3 episodes got compared to each other, because to some degree, they are very similar. They start with fights that were established in the previous episode. And then they lead into sort of an investigation and introduction of new characters. Who did it better, though? I think I'm going to go with Demon Slayer here, because I think part of it was a little bit what Envy said. It's a little straightforward. Now, normally for me, that would mean, oh, you're being a little basic. But it's not. I think that Demon Slayer, since the beginning, has always had a very, very clear sense of direction and where it was going. Even if it wasn't going to be as complicated as some other shows that it was going up against, it's one of those, slow and steady wins the race kind of things. And I think that... at least today, Demon Slayer's kind of more straightforward, plot is moving us along better and faster, especially as we're getting further into these shows. I think I like that a little bit more. So I'm going to go with Demon Slayer.
I honestly was thinking the same thing as you, Al, with the, straightforwardness of Demon Slayer, kind of what's happening is that as I think bigger to the actual plot than the one in Jujutsu Kaisen is. I am aware that in Jujutsu Kaisen it's introducing you to a lot of characters and the villains and kind of what they're trying to do, but it's also an arc. And where I feel Demon Slayer, while this might be an arc of its own in a way, it feels more like overall like part of the main plot, like with the whole end goal of Tanjiro's, if that makes any sense. If it doesn't, stop me and I'll try to explain myself better. But yeah, it just feels like Tanjiro's like going more towards his goal in these episodes. So I'd say Demon Slayer for the plot.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing. I like the way that Jujutsu Kaisen has progressed with a lot of different, like, forking plots and building up a lot of characters, but there was something kind of epic about the way that Demon Slayer handled its plot. It feels very focused, but it still feels like a large world. You know, it still feels like a lot is there, but we're very much like intimately focused on a few characters, which makes it feel very much like a close journey. So I'd say, and I liked the excitement of like going to a new place, like with the city and with Muzan and everything. I feel like there was a lot of like development that felt very salient for the main character and felt very important, you know? So I would say overall, I would pick Demon Slayer for this.
Yeah, I'm also probably gonna have to give it to Demon Slayer. Not that I don't like what Jujutsu Kaisen's doing. Like, I like having a lot of plot threads that can be picked up whenever, because I just like having, like, a lot of moving pieces in the media that I consume, because it always just makes things a lot more interesting. And while, yeah, Demon Slayer is, you know, kind of just, like, on a straightforward path, it's definitely a lot easier to wrap your head around. I feel like the stakes have also just gotten, like, a lot higher in Demon Slayer. Like, granted, we've got, like, our League of Evil over in Jujutsu Kaisen that have been, like, established in things. But in Demon Slayer, we've run into the main big bad, like, right there. And the scene in which we meet Muzan is very intense, in the fact that we just meet him in the middle of the street and then he just causes havoc that kind of, like, throws a wrench in Tanjiro's plans, especially considering the fact that Muzan's family, quote unquote, is there. So yeah, I'm gonna have to give it to Demon Slayer for plot.
And Demon Slayer takes plot. That's pretty unanimous. I can't really look at that any other way. Moving on, I'm taking us into characters. Pass.
Oh my god.
And
Wow.
so it begins.
I mean, I honestly was thinking either you were going to pick.
Look, I got a lot
Demon
to mull
Slayer,
over.
or
I
if
got a
you
lot
were
to
going
mull
to
over
pass.
right now. You guys talk.
I think I know why. I think I know exactly why you're passing.
Well, when it gets to your turn, you get to speculate. Damn.
All right. Well, I know why Al is upset. But God, I didn't think I'd have to be starting with this.
Do you want me to come back around? I might have an idea.
I'm just not ready.
Oh, I know
Are
my
you
thoughts.
passing
I
too?
know my
Okay,
thoughts.
You know what?
I
I'll
just
I'll take my thing. I'll retract my pass.
Okay.
Okay,
just need-
so in
I
the
just
short
need
amount of time that
time.
in the short amount of time that I had passed, I really quickly went through everything in my head, and I'm trying to go through everything. All right, so both of these shows have honestly some great characters. Now, one show is kind of drawing heavily from some other media. That being said, they're all still executed very well. You know, I can't say that they're like straight up copy and pasting. They're not. This might just be a personal thing, like seeing a little too much there. That being said, Demon Slayers has honestly, not as many people introduced, which I would put a little bit against it when we're comparing it to Jujutsu Kaisen, but like everyone is also well established there and everyone's pretty three-dimensional. I think like that's kind of the thing, is like everyone that is being introduced in these episodes, no matter what show, they're well introduced. And whether that's the heroes, the villains, side characters, everything. I got to give everybody points for that. So, where do I detract points? I had a thing where I detracted points, and I was like, does the execution and the fact that I really love all these characters outweigh the fact that I feel like I have seen this almost character for character somewhere else? And I gotta say, like, you know what? That's a bit of a factor that's gonna knock you. It's gonna knock you by like a 0.5%. But when it comes down to I gotta compare these two, that 0.5% is gonna have to be the deciding factor. So I'm giving it to Demon Slayer for characters.
I have collected my thoughts. See, I like the characters that are introduced in Jujutsu Kaisen more than I do the characters that are introduced in Demon Slayer. With, like, the exception of, like, Muzan. 'Cause, like, while the demons are cool and stuff in Demon Slayer, like the Tamari demon and the Arrow demon, I'm not, like, crazy about them. Like, they just scare me more than anything else. Like, I was just scared the whole time I was watching it, like, for, you know, our heroes, like, and especially because you do see, them, like, succeed in, like, blowing, like, what's Simp Boy's head off,
That was satisfying.
and so I was like, okay, well, yeah, they're strong and they're powerful, but, like, I didn't like them as characters. Whereas, like, I actually like the villains from Jujutsu Kaisen as characters. And, yeah, and then I think I just like, you know, yeah, that's about it. So I'm giving it to Jujutsu Kaisen.
Yeah, I was thinking from the beginning I'm actually gonna go with Jujutsu Kaisen as well. I think that the characters that we were introduced to me, I just feel more attached to. I don't know, like the ones introduced in Demon Slayer, I really like the demons and I find them really interesting, but once again, as I mentioned before in the Demon Slayer section, I'm still not seeing as much development for the main characters, and I see a lot more for the heroes in Jujutsu Kaisen. And once again, I just feel more attached to them in a lot of ways because I see like their little quirks and I see them on normal average days, but I also see them when they're fighting and being determined. And I get to see their skills and their coolness, but also just the silly little moments that to me round out the characters really well in a way that I don't always see in the other show. I think we do get the bond between Tanjiro and Nezuko really well, but I feel like I just get more details of like the personhood of the characters in Jujutsu Kaisen a little bit more. Maybe because there's more downtime, but either way it really works for me in terms of feeling close to the characters. So overall, even though I really like the characters in Demon Slayer and I would still give them a yay, I'm going to give this category to Jujutsu Kaisen.
So, yeah, as everyone's been saying, we've gotten great characters from both shows for these 3 episodes. I will also have to give it to Jujutsu Kaisen. Mostly just because, granted, this is barring the fact that I haven't seen, like, Naruto or Bleach, really. Not that I haven't watched a couple episodes, but that's all that we've seen here on Anime Yay or Nay is all that I have watched of either series. That being said, I didn't really have those comparisons to go by for Jujutsu Kaisen, so I can't really dock it points because I'm not really comparing it to that. I feel like for these 2 shows, like, I gotta give it to Jujutsu Kaisen because I feel like we got a little bit more with, like, our main cast of characters rather than, like, getting to know more of like the side characters or getting introduced to new villains. So, yeah.
I was going back and forth because I was afraid that I was gonna have to be the tiebreaker, but like obviously I'm not. But it's weird because I hated it's May, right? May's the bitch, right?
Mai.
Oh, Mai,
Yes.
yeah. Mai, I hated Mai, I hated Toto, but yet all the other new characters that were introduced I enjoyed, especially Nanami. I really liked him a lot. And, obviously the patch face guy, he's a really interesting villain. So, and then obviously Gojo just reigned his supremeness in episode 7. And then with Demon Slayer, we didn't get a ton of new characters, and most of them were, demons that are going to be, the villain of the week that had cool powers, but they didn't really have that much personality. So, and obviously, the nurse and Muzan are interesting characters, but even though I didn't like 2 of the characters from Jujutsu Kaisen, I think because there was more introduced and there's more going on with them, even the ones that I disliked, I'll give the very slight edge to characters to Jujutsu Kaisen.
So, Jujutsu Kaisen takes characters, and I'm just a butthurt son of a bitch.
No, I was really tempted to give it to Demon Slayer. I was like really tempted to.
I totally get why you guys went that way.
No, I mean, and we also see your point too. Like,
Yeah.
if there's something that you've been, like, if there's something that's, like, basically your nostalgia thing, and you see a lot of one of your favorite shows in another show, mostly just because the author was really into a said other show, like, yeah, we definitely get it.
I can't hate him for being a fan of something I'm a fan of.
I mean, we're also getting to the point where, like, those shows like Naruto, Bleach, One Piece, they're getting up there in ages, and a lot of manga artists and writers are, starting off, our age. So, like, they're being inspired by those shows that we grew up with. So,
Yep. So, yeah. Let's move along right on into world building. Gav, you want to take this?
Yeah. So I am gonna give it to. God damn, this is hard. Let me think. Because we got a lot from. I'm just gonna talk out my thoughts here. We got a lot from Jujutsu Kaisen, learning about like the barriers, and the like techniques and the cursed energy and stuff like that, or the domains, not the barriers. What am I talking about? And then you get Demon Slayer learning about like turning demons into, or turning people into demons, like humans into demons, and like you get more, I guess, information on like demons being like people, like not like evil, I guess, aligned. It's hard to say. I feel like they both did a good job with world building, but I do feel like we got more from Jujutsu Kaisen with the world building, at least from like what I can remember when watching both of them. So I'm just gonna give it to Jujutsu Kaisen.
Yeah, similarly, I feel like I enjoyed the world building in both, and they both did a really good job of it, but I do feel like I got a little bit more of Jujutsu Kaisen as well, so I'm gonna go with that one too.
Yeah, I will also feel like I got more with Jujutsu Kaisen, mostly just because, like, it's coming through the forms of, like, teaching and conversations, whereas, like, more casual conversations, whereas the world building with Demon Slayer feels like he has to, like, meet the new person and they have to sort of, like, explain it to him rather than it feeling like it's more organic. So yeah, I'd give it to Jujutsu Kaisen.
honestly, I can see where all 3 of you are coming from, but I'm kind of the opposite. I kind of felt like there was more world building in Demon Slayer, so again, there was a lot of world building in Jujutsu Kaisen as well, but I thought I enjoyed the world building in Demon Slayer a bit more, so I'm going to give the edge to Demon Slayer.
Envy, I think you're right. There was a lot of world building in both of these, and I think a lot of it was good. I'm going to go with Jujutsu Kaisen, though, and I think the reason for that is because, although I like the world building, we learned a lot of new things this time around in Demon Slayer, a lot of that world building was a lot more character-based than it was about the world. And Jujutsu Kaisen was a lot more about the world. So, for that, I'm going to give it the slight edge on that. But it didn't need it, because, yeah, that's 4-1 for Jujutsu Kaisen. Jujutsu Kaisen takes the world building section. Now we come to the really fun part.
Art and animation.
Yin. Take us into art and animation.
Art and animation. They both look astounding. I mean, we've already covered this. The animation really is kind of down to preference, I think, because, wow, they're both amazing. And the action scenes in particular both look amazing. But also, like, even just all the little animations. So, for me, it's hard because on the one hand, in Jujutsu Kaisen, you get the Gojo Jogo fight, and it looks incredible.
Gojo and Jogo a go-go.
Yeah, but then with Demon Slayer, you get a really good fight in that as well. That had a lot of strategy and like really interesting things going on. And I was just like feeling a lot of excitement throughout the whole thing, and you also just have the atmosphere with Demon Slayer, and I think just the very unique atmosphere and the way they do, like, the backgrounds and the patterns and everything, and just, I don't know, just the quality of, like, uniqueness in Demon Slayer's animation, I think is why I'm gonna give the slightest edge to Demon Slayer, although I think Jujutsu Kaisen also looks fucking incredible.
So I will say the animation in both of these is gorgeous. Fight scenes in Demon Slayer are amazing. Character designs are great for Demon Slayer. Same really goes for Jujutsu Kaisen, because that one Gojo versus Jogo fight scene was really great. Granted, character designs aren't always the most unique because, again, uniforms, but our villain designs are really great. And even at that, it's just, I do genuinely enjoy, like, watching Mappa's animation. The one thing that I will dock points for is weird animation cycles. And that one walking sequence in Demon Slayer kind of threw me a little bit. I'm like, no, not again. You did it again with the backwards walking. So, yeah, I'm gonna have to give it to Jujutsu Kaisen simply because I wasn't, like, twitching my eye at the screen.
My thoughts are the exact same as Yin, so I won't repeat what they said. Demon Slayer.
Okay, for me, the animation is a complete wash. They're both gorgeous. There's no point in even trying to compare these two. So what it comes down to me is art style. That's where they're going to have to be differentiated. I think both of them look great. One... I hate to keep talking to points, but one of these is strikingly influenced by something else, and the other one, Yin, you brought up some really good points, like the patterns, the styles, the water breathing animation.
Yeah,
well,
that's
not even the animation, the art of it.
Yeah,
the art style and everything else. Haven't seen that anywhere else. And, it looks beautiful. I feel like you could take almost any frame from Demon Slayer.
Except the weird computer animation.
Okay. But the really artistic
most
stuff.
of it.
You could take the majority of, like, just paused frames from Demon Slayer and make just a background out of it. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm going to give that to Demon Slayer.
I don't have to make a decision, do I? Because Demon Slayer...
Technically, no. You can give us your thoughts, but you don't technically
yeah.
have to make a decision now.
Because I have a hard time picking. Yeah, I don't really want to pick one.
Okay, well, if you don't want to, you don't have to.
All right.
All right. Demon Slayer takes art and animation. Let's move it right along into sound and dubbing. Chibi, I believe you're leading us on this one, right?
Yes, I am. Sound and dubbing. Oh god. Score is really good in both of these. Dubbing's also pretty good in both of these. So I guess it really all comes down to like voices fitting faces for the most part for me. Honestly, really everyone's voices like fit for Demon Slayers. Like I have no complaints at all, which is surprising because usually for dubs I have at least one. But I do have a little bit of an issue with one particular voice in Jujutsu Kaisen, and that's Suguru. And I think his voice is way too deep. I don't know. For some reason, it just always throws me off when I hear his voice. Because I'm just like, why is your voice so deep? I feel like it should be higher pitched.
Ghetto.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah, I'd have to give it to Demon Slayer because I have no qualms with anything going on with it.
This is a really tough one for me. I was almost half tempted to pass it, but I will say this. When it comes to dubbing, the quality for both are about even for me. I think I might like the dub of of Jujutsu Kaisen a little bit more. When it comes to the sound and sound effects, again, everything is really good, but I might give the slight edge to Demon Slayer. So it really all comes down to, the background music / soundtrack. Both are really damn good. But if I have to give the slightest of edge to which background music I liked more, I might give the slightest of edges to Demon Slayer. So they take the category for me by just like the littlest of edge.
Envy, I kind of approach this the same way that you did. We kind of like trying to break it down individually to see who was like coming a little bit ahead on each one. I agree with you. I think Demon Slayer is a touch ahead when it comes to the score. They're roughly even when it comes to sound effects, sound design, stuff like that. They both really work for the setting that they have. Demon Slayer can be a little bit creepier at times, whereas Jujutsu Kaisen works a little bit better for like when they're in like some of the action sequences, is a little more of the fantastical infinite void type things, which is pretty cool. So for me, it actually came down to the actual dub itself. Both of these are great, but I definitely found myself connecting a little bit more with Jujutsu Kaisen's. I think like, I don't know, maybe it was just some of the lines, maybe it was just a little bit of this, a little bit, I don't know. It just rubbed me just the right way. So I'm going to go with Jujutsu Kaisen.
Al, you stole the words right out of my mouth. I also am going with Jujutsu Kaisen for the same exact reason. So, yeah.
Oh no, our first
Again,
tiebreaker.
Like being the tiebreaker?
Actually, this isn't hard for me because Envy said exactly how I felt about it. I think the dubs are equal for me, but I think the sound and the score of Demon Slayer is so beautiful. I'm going to give it to Demon Slayer.
Demon Slayer takes sound and dubbing. Envy, take us into openings and endings.
Oh, this is going to be a heartbreaker for me. This is really going to be a heartbreaker, because I'll just say this. If we were just comparing just the openings, I'd give it to Demon Slayer. That being said, it's openings and endings. And obviously, you guys know how much I love Lost in Paradise. And even though I love From the Edge as a song, the actual, there really isn't any, visuals for the song for Demon Slayer. It's just kind of slideshows. Whereas Lost in Paradise has an art style for the end credits that I haven't really seen too much. And I'm going to end up giving the slightest of edges to Jujutsu Kaisen overall because, again, song-wise, I think I'm going back and forth because I'm kind of a mess right now with this category because opening I like more for Demon Slayer, ending I like more for Jujutsu Kaisen, but Jujutsu Kaisen has two great visuals for opening and ending, whereas Demon Slayer technically doesn't really have much visual wise for the ED. So by those edges, I'm gonna give the edge to Jujutsu Kaisen.
Yeah, to some degree, some of these openings and ending ones come. It almost becomes a bit of a numbers game because, like, we've had some weeks where it's like, oh, good opening, bad ending, good ending, bad opening, and then the other one's like two bad things or two good things or something. This is just a situation of like Demon Slayer has a great opening and a pretty decent ending, and Jujutsu Kaisen has a great opening and a great ending. So I got to go Jujutsu Kaisen.
Yeah, I feel the same way about Jujutsu Kaisen having, the better of the endings, and, like, having both a really, really good opening and a really good ending, and then Demon Slayer, I really like the opening, but the ending, like, is still good, but it's, like, not, like, as good to me, I guess, as, like, the other song, so I, for number reasons, would give it to Jujutsu Kaisen.
Yeah, I agree with everything you guys said. I would also give it to Jujutsu Kaisen.
Yeah. While I do love all of these songs, I will say the ones for Jujutsu Kaisen are the ones that I will always put on repeat when they come on. So, yeah, I'd give it to Jujutsu Kaisen as well.
So, Jujutsu Kaisen takes
fuck,
openings
we're
and
tied up.
endings. Hey, fuckers, we're all tied.
Yeah.
No!
Final thoughts to figure out our first finalist.
Ooh.
I'll start us off. There's a lot to deal with here. There's a lot to go into. Like, we know this is going to be like a tough category. Everything's been a tough category. Yeah. Part of me wants to lean Jujutsu Kaisen because I haven't seen it. And I have seen Demon Slayer. But I'm trying not to make that my argument here because I should be taking it as these episodes versus these episodes. Like, I think to some degree, most of my problems with Jujutsu Kaisen lately, at least for these 3 episodes, has been my sudden realization that, like, so much seems to have been drawn from another show. That being said, and I've said this before, it's not a bad thing necessarily. It's still executed so well. And yeah, I'm to some degree, some of it comes down to I'm more interested in the world of Jujutsu Kaisen a little bit right now than I am of Demon Slayer. And even though the characters are, I'm not going to call them ripoffs, but heavy homages, they are executed very, very well. And I like that. And that puts them, I know was giving characters to Demon Slayer, but again, it was by a very slight margin. Everything else, like, I don't know. To some degree, I'm having more fun watching Jujutsu Kaisen. So that's just how I'm going to go with it. I'm looking a little bit more forward to seeing what happens next in Jujutsu Kaisen than I am Demon Slayer, so that's where I'm going.
I honestly don't know. I kind of want to pass.
You can.
You want to
You
pass
can.
and final thoughts?
Yeah.
Oh, ballsy.
I mean, we can come back to you if you finalize your thoughts and want to redraw your pass.
Okay.
Dude, I'm afraid that I might pass as well, but let me think. I'm trying to remember which. I think you have it written down. Which, or did you not write down the individual things? I'm wondering which one I gave more categories to.
I wrote down who won the individual categories.
Fuck.
I didn't write down who voted for what.
I don't remember what I voted for in each one. So I can't do it that way. This is rough because I really like both. I think they're both done extremely well. And it's hard.
See, none of you have the excuse if you haven't seen one and not the other.
I've seen them both.
Like, I'm not, again, I wasn't trying to use that as an excuse, but, like, that is part of the reason.
Yeah.
This is what happens when you watch ahead.
It's really hard because I like the characters and the general, like, intrigue of what's gonna happen next in Jujutsu Kaisen. But I really like the animation and, like, the action of Demon Slayer. I hate to do this, but I'm gonna pass too.
Oh.
Double pass!
I have to. I can't choose.
It's happened before. We've had double
Yeah.
passes. I think we've had one other double pass, so, you know.
I have an opinion.
Good.
So, for me, for final thoughts, I really loved both of these shows. As I said, for Demon Slayer, I have caught up and finished it, actually. And then for Jujutsu Kaisen, I'm all caught up with where the anime is at. I'm currently working my way through the manga. I will say, as far as the shows go, like, I've got really no bad things to really say about either of them. The one thing I will say, though, is I think for this category, it's which one is going to keep me more engaged. And this is where Demon Slayer's, like, plot kind of backfires on it a little bit. Because it's really straightforward and I feel like I know where it's going. And while not every turn is, like, what I necessarily expect, I generally know where we're going. The thing is that Jujutsu Kaisen's got enough plot threads and little other things going on that I'm more readily engaged because I want to see where it all goes. So, for that reason alone, I'm going to give it to Jujutsu Kaisen.
My choice is actually pretty simple. I enjoyed 2 out of 3 episodes for Jujutsu Kaisen. I enjoyed 3 out of 3 for Demon Slayer. On top of that, I pretty much enjoy the characters, the tone, and the world more than Jujutsu Kaisen. Of Demon Slayer more than Jujutsu Kaisen, because the tone is probably my biggest problem with Jujutsu Kaisen. I think, especially with the comedy, I think the comedy's definitely hit or miss for me more of the time it misses. So Demon Slayer wins easily for me. At least based on these 3 episodes.
So, Gav, Yin, have either of you come up with any level of an opinion?
Okay, he passed first.
He
so
did pass
I
first,
feel...
so yeah. Gav.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, if we're going by, like, because, okay, it's really difficult if we're going by, like, just these 3 episodes, because I have, like, opinions based on, like, seeing more of, like, both shows, but not from these 3 episodes. So I'm like, is it even fair? Like, if
Why
I voice
didn't watch ahead.
You watched Demon Slayer, though.
Okay, but we did that before we started this tournament, so I
That's
can't
fair.
be faulted for that.
Yeah, and same thing for me. I watched both shows before we started this tournament, so...
Yes,
Yeah.
because you absorb things like a black hole.
Well, okay.
Yeah.
Oddly
Yeah.
relevant for this week.
Yes.
Yeah, but, like, I seriously, like, because I have opinions, but they're based on, like, well, at least the ones based on, like, because, okay, I'm just gonna be honest, it takes a lot for me to watch anything at all. Like, I have a problem with sitting down and just watching a show, especially by myself. Like, I don't like to do that. That's why I don't get through a whole lot. Like, I just am not one who can stay focused when doing that kind of thing. Um, and when I was watching, like, Jujutsu Kaisen, it was kind of easier for me to, like, get through and to, like, play, like, back-to-back episodes of. Um, but when I was watching Demon Slayer, there was, like, an episode that we haven't gotten to yet in this, like, podcast that I, like, just had to watch, like, two or three times because I was just, like, kept stopping and, like, not watching Demon Slayer and had to keep coming back to it. So I don't know if that says something about, like, the shows, like, especially because they aren't these episodes. Like, I don't know, it shows that I guess it's easier for me to, like, binge Jujutsu Kaisen, than it is for me to binge Demon Slayer. But, like, also, when I was rewatching these episodes, because I had to rewatch because I was ahead in both of them, like, when I tend to, like, rewatch something, I don't give it my full attention, because I'm like, oh, I'm just rewatching it. And it's like, when I was rewatching it, I was giving more attention to these episodes of Demon Slayer than I was to the episodes of Jujutsu Kaisen. And I don't know if it's just because of, like, what day of the week I was watching it on. So I feel like none of my judgments based on, like, either things is, like, really fair to, like, both shows. So I don't know who to go with. It's like...
Okay.
I
can I throw an idea out there?
Yeah.
I wouldn't normally do this because I've been trying to be like, okay, let's focus on what we've got in front of us. But at this point, cat's out of the bag. Everyone but me has seen everything that there is to see with these shows.
Not everything.
Well, for the purposes of this tournament.
Yes.
Next week is the other semifinals. The week after, when we get into the finals, with Demon Slayer, if we're going into Demon Slayer, it's going to be episodes 10 through 12. With Jujutsu Kaisen, I think we were talking, since the first season will end at 13, we might as well make it 10 through 13. And, corresponding episodes for the other side as well. What are you more excited for? Jujutsu Kaisen 10 through 13? Or Demon Slayer 10 through 12? Or you know what? 10 through 13. Because I think both, because if I'm remembering correctly, both will end particular arcs at 13.
Yes, they will.
Oh, well...
Which one are you more excited to rewatch?
Honestly, Jujutsu Kaisen. Because I watched those episodes, and, like, not that long ago, and I was, like, really invested in the arc that is about to happen with, them. I'm not gonna say anything because I think we know who won now, but because I don't want to spoil what is gonna happen.
Yeah, I haven't seen it yet, so definitely don't spoil anything. But
But the next arc was definitely, like, the start of the arc that we left off on, I should say, which carries on into the next episodes, is definitely more exciting for me than the arc that we're currently in Demon Slayer, so I guess we're going with that.
Yin, any thoughts before we call it?
Dude, I don't have to pick, so I'm gonna take my pass gratefully, because I love both of these shows. Everybody knows that. Like,
well, you got lucky today.
I did.
Jujutsu Kaisen beats Demon Slayer to be the first finalist in the Shonen Showdown. Like I said, they'll be going up against the winner from next week, going episodes 10 through 13 to see who comes out on top. But before we talk about next week, we can gush about Demon Slayer if you guys want. Like,
Gav, cover your ears for the next 2 minutes.
I'm gonna take my headphones off. Actually, I'm gonna go
Hold
to
up.
the bathroom.
Have you not seen Demon Slayer?
Not all of it.
Not all of this season?
Nope.
Well, shit.
That's why
Yeah.
I'm telling him to take off his headphones right now,
Hold on.
because...
Before you go, let us know, like... First off, let us know when you're back, that way we're not spoiling anything. But, like, how far have you seen? Like, what's the last thing you watched?
Am I allowed to spoil for the crowd? Like, for the audience?
I mean, you can kind of
Like an
just,
episode number or something, or like...
or you can
Oh.
say like the number, or like kind of like sort of the arc-ish.
I mean,
kind of what it is.
in the gush section, a spoiler warning's pretty much inevitable.
Yeah,
so.
it is.
It's
Yeah.
true.
Yeah.
It was right after you get introduced to Zenitsu and, Inosuke, and, Zenitsu sees Nezuko for the first time.
So
So
you
you're not
didn't
too far
see.
ahead.
You did not see the episode.
No.
Yeah, that's why I was
Okay,
telling him to
so-
take off his headphones, because...
The episode. Which episode is the episode? Yin?
Episode
Whenever
19.
Gav takes off his headphones.
Episode
Episode
19.
19.
Oh my god.
the
Okay, I
Go to the bathroom.
I leave.
Yeah, how about you, like, message the Discord when you're done talking so I know when to come back?
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
Should we talk
Alright.
about episode 19 first?
Let's.
That
Like,
way
we're
he can
gushing.
still
We're
be
talking
in the
about
Yeah.
episode
conversation.
19. We are talking about episode 19. Because I remember, like, Yen, when did you watch this show when it first came out, or did you watch it when everything was done?
It was already finished when I watched it.
Okay, I was watching this weekly when it came out in 2019, and up until episode 19, the show was popular, but it wasn't, like, big. It wasn't mainstream. It was like one of those, hey, are you checking out Demon Slayer? You know, yeah, it's pretty good. It's ufotable, you know. After episode 19, particularly the last 5 minutes of episode 19, you should have freaking seen social media. Everyone was going nuts for the last 5 minutes of episode 19. It's one of the best 5 minutes of anime I've ever seen. The animation.
Remind me what episode that is.
Fire
Because
breathing
Oh my
spider
God!
cut off the head.
Hey.
You're gonna try to steal my sister, motherfucker?
Yes.
Yeah,
She
yeah.
was in
Okay.
the well.
I just wanted to make sure that was
And then
the
she
episode.
showed powers.
Oh my god,
Yeah.
she had the blood thing.
Yeah,
It
like
was
that
mad.
moment, those 5 minutes made Demon Slayer the juggernaut that it is today. That episode, as soon as that episode aired, everyone just went nuts. It went from, are you seeing Demon Slayer to, are you fucking seeing Demon Slayer? Look at this episode. Like,
And then it was all downhill from
no, but yeah,
It wasn't all downhill, but it was a little bit more chill
There
after
was
that.
more of a
Yeah.
lull, but my god, that scene alone made the
I'm-
show.
I'm just gonna say with that episode,
probably could
I'm
have
like,
ended the
oh, I
season on
totally
that.
called that person being his father in episode 8. Just gonna say that right now.
Wait, what are you talking about?
Say what?
So, is that the
Oh,
episode
Red
where
Sword
we...
guy. Yeah.
Yes!
They, Muzan. You remember Muzan had a flashback remembering the earrings that Tanjiro was wearing, and there was a
That
demon
is his
slayer
father!
with a red sword.
Wait, I thought
is
it was
his dad.
obvious from the moment that we saw
Yes.
that he was the father.
Yeah.
Super obvious.
Wait, but was it supposed to be a surprise? I didn't think so.
No, I don't think
No.
so. I think
Oh,
they were
okay.
foreshadowing. But at the
No, of
same
course
time,
they
I'm
were.
like, oh, that's his dad. But how? I'm so confused.
Well, Tanjiro's the chosen
Well,
one, which I'm usually not a fan of that, but you
well,
know.
I mean,
Yeah.
regardless, the ending of episode 19 was like, my jaw was on the floor. Like, I couldn't believe it. Like, the animation just, and the insert song. I think the flashbacks with the insert song
Yes.
just made it work for me. That's like one of the best insert songs I've ever heard in an anime. It was just like
We're like bringing the theme song.
Well, no, like this.
No, it wasn't
They
the theme
didn't put the
song.
theme song?
It was It was a different song, but it was such a poignant, beautiful song that just represented the whole show to me. I mean, it represented the family.
Because, like,
and I think that was so
I'll be
important.
completely.
I thought it was the theme
No,
song.
that wasn't. It's done
No.
by a completely different singer.
No.
I forget what the song is called,
Yeah.
but like, I'll be completely honest. Up until episode 19, I was enjoying the show, especially the interactions between Tanjiro and Inosuke. But like, I wasn't. I was starting to get not bored, but like I was starting to get like, okay, are we gonna keep this moving on? But then once
It was
episode,
the Zenitsu effect.
yeah, but then once episode 19 happened, I was like, okay, I'm hooked. Like this show won me back. And yeah, obviously the remainder of the season was them recuperating. There wasn't a ton of action, but like once you get the recuperating, then the plot's gonna get really going, especially with the movie adapting the next arc, the Mugen Train arc. So yeah.
I'm gonna say this, and here's why I probably thought it was the theme song in my memory. Because that scene felt like every other time that you wanted to hype up something so bad that like in every other show they use the theme song. Like you guys remember in One Punch Man,
Yes.
the last
Yeah.
fight?
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Yeah, usually anime
Like,
does that, but
I almost got an aneurysm from how much hype I was feeling
yeah,
at that
was a
moment.
great moment.
But yeah, like anytime you bring in your theme song for something, you just like, oh, it gets people fucking going, and that's probably why I thought that was that.
But this song was perfect. I think
I
it was way
remember the scene.
better
I don't
than
remember the
doing
ex-
the theme song.
I don't remember the exact song, like lyric wise in my head, but I do remember everything I was feeling when I was watching that, and that was exactly the kind of feeling that it was evoking.
I think like catharsis is what I think of when I think of that scene. And it
So-
just like I felt so much.
Which is ironic because it's sort of a false ending.
So
I
It's sort of a
know,
false
but
climax.
it worked because it was a climax
That
for
song-
him, for the character.
that song, I actually just looked up the title for that song. It's called Kamado Tanjiro no Uta, which is basically Tanjiro Kamado's song. It's literally his theme song.
Yeah. And it
Literally the
worked.
title.
And then obviously with the rest of the season, we have to talk about the other character, at least the main characters. We got Zenitsu and
Well, should we bring
oh
back
yeah,
up?
true.
Because we can talk about this now. I
Well,
think.
actually no, he hasn't gotten to Shinobu and Kana yet.
Yeah.
No.
Okay. I don't have much to say about them, I don't think.
You don't have much to say about them? I thought their storyline was really good. Like, I thought Shinobu was a surprisingly deep character with all the stuff about her sister and the flashbacks we
Yeah,
got.
they're interesting.
Like, I did not expect them to go so deep with her, and I really appreciated that.
I
And
mean,
she had
they-
such, like, a, interesting personality in general.
You didn't expect them to? I
didn't
felt like
think
that.
so.
Well, I mean, like they do it for one-off villains all the time. I'm expecting like by the end of this, everyone is gonna have like some
But
very
I think
deep
that's the
backstory.
thing, is that they show more for the villains, like the demons, in terms of their backstories. So I was kind of surprised to see it with one of the heroes more. I don't see that much with them.
I think they slowly drip that out a little bit more. with
Yeah,
the main
they slowly
characters.
drip it out for sure. But I think
Watch, by the end, you're gonna love Zenitsu
oh,
somehow.
I'm
With-
sure.
hey,
yeah.
I'm not
Zenitsu's a
saying.
character.
I'm not saying that I know how they'll do it. I'm just saying it lies within the realm of possibility.
they showed his
The thing about
backstory, and it's
Zenitsu-
like
They show all of his backstory,
I think yeah.
everything. Why did he want to be a demon slayer?
Didn't they show that?
They showed him training. Did they show? God, it would have been in the
Yeah, it
next
was because
episode,
he was
probably.
like in debt or whatever, right?
Oh, was that it?
Yeah, like they
God,
showed a
they're never gonna
backstory with
make
him and his
Zenitsu
grandfather.
likable.
Right.
He's a fucking Mineta. Who's worse, him or Mineta?
Okay, Mineta is clearly worse. I'm
Oh,
sorry.
you know what, that wasn't a fair
Yeah, you know, my problem with Zenitsu is that, like, okay, I like the fact that he ironically is badass whenever he falls asleep. I
Yeah.
like that, and his lightning powers are cool. And I can understand, being scared, but just shut up, man. Like, you're the one that signed up to be a demon slayer. Like, if you didn't want to be a demon slayer risking your life, then you shouldn't have signed up to be a demon slayer.
Yeah, he's just too grating. It's like, I get what's going on with him, and I do like his sleeping, lightning, badass moments. But the fact that I like the character better asleep than awake really
That's
says
telling.
something about the character. Yeah.
It
He's
is.
so much cooler
Yeah.
when he's unconscious.
I will say for me that, like, I'm not really hating him yet. I'm a little annoyed with him, but I'm not hating him. But I feel like there is something to be said for, I'm not really sure, like, he kind of, whether or not he really had a choice. I mean, granted, he could have really chose not to go, but I feel like he still felt like he had to, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I think we could all agree that Inosuke is the best boy, though.
Oh my god!
100%.
I love him.
Again, are we okay to bring Gav back now?
Yeah.
I feel like he's gonna probably want to talk about it. All right, someone message him.
Ah.
He's brushing his teeth.
Like a responsible person.
Okay, is there any other
What a
end of season spoilers we can say before Gav comes back?
They exploded a gourd with their breath. I don't got much else. They had a fun training arc.
Yeah.
I don't normally like just straight training arcs, but they managed.
Can you
pretty
imagine,
good.
though,
Yeah.
having to constantly breathe while you're sleeping, and if you don't, you get 3 lollies beating the shit out of you with paddles?
You know, I don't find it that hard to figure out because for some reason, I do continue to breathe while I'm sleeping.
Okay, not like breathe, but like the technique.
I know, I'm being a dick.
The Demon Slayer technique breathe.
I don't know how you could do that, like, consciously.
So, I feel like it might just be, like, subconsciously you tightening up your muscles that, like, you would use for breathing.
Yeah.
Kind of like
'cause
how-
Sounds so stressful.
Isn't it like based on real like meditation breathing techniques
Yeah.
that people constantly do?
Yeah.
Yeah, so, like, if I want to say, like, tighten my core without really doing a whole lot of anything, I can kind of, like, breathe while also just maintaining control over all of those muscles.
Yeah.
So,
It's like people start to do it subconsciously once they practice enough.
oh yeah, for sure.
That's basically what Tanjiro was doing.
superpowers, though.
Okay, I'm back.
Cool. We're talking about the house with the best boy, Inosuke, whatever the fuck
Inosuke.
you call him.
Oh.
I love
Inosuke, yeah.
him. He's great.
He's so good.
Fantastic. And Envy, who voices him?
You know what? I you know what? I'll say this. I've seen clips of Bryce Papenbrook voicing him. I still like the sub voice actor better, but a funny thing about that, put a bold point in that. Bryce Papenbrook does a really good job voicing him, and the sub voice actor, I don't know his Japanese name because I'm terrible with names, but he voices a bunch of characters, most notably Kirito. So I find it ironic that him and Bryce Papenbrook tend to share a lot of
Maybe they have similar voices.
yes.
I mean,
You know?
that is generally something that they tend to do sometimes. Like, if they have a voice actor who plays, like, specific roles, they'll get the voice actor who's played some shared roles. So, sometimes they'll kind of be basically playing the same characters for a
Because
a
I
hot
know
minute.
the actor in the Japanese version that voices Kirito. I forget his name, but he's very prevalent. But he voices 2 characters. He either voices generic high school boy or isekai protagonist, or someone who's batshit crazy, and he's definitely the latter with Inosuke.
Yeah.
Definitely the highlight of the second half of the series for me.
He was very good.
Plus that demon that we're not going to see because we voted for Jujutsu Kaisen, the Inception house.
Oh my
Very
god, it
fucking
looked
cool.
awesome.
Yeah.
That was one of my
Yeah.
favorite parts for sure.
Does anybody know the name of that
That-
instrument he's using?
It's a drum.
Oh, I didn't know if that was like a specific Japanese version or something like that.
There probably is, but I don't know what it is, so it's just, yep, drum.
I don't know,
multiple
but
drums.
it was really awesome. Like that and the spider people were really amazing.
Honestly, that's the episode that I got, like, stuck on and had to rewatch a bunch of times was when they were in the
Oh,
drumming
dude.
house.
How?
Dude, keep watching the show. You are in for a time.
Yeah.
I don't know why I just kept getting stuck, like, in the middle of the fight, like...
It's
just
fucking
not-
cool.
It's
Like, you want to
awesome.
talk about, like, no spoilers, the fights later on are great for a character thing. But, like, honestly, that house fight, we were talking about, like, dynamic camera movements and stuff when we were talking about Ufotable and a whole bunch of other stuff and, like, the art style and the fighting stuff. when you think about it on a technical level,
Wait.
I gotta tell you, that house fight is the best.
You're saying it's better than the episode 19 one?
I think the episode 19 is brilliant for the character stuff and the visuals that go along with it. But you want to talk about, like, a fucking intricate fucking Inception fight?
Dude, that fight
it's
was
better on a technical
amazing,
level.
but I can't say it was better than the episode 19.
I will say this though.
Episode 19 is better in your mind because of catharsis.
Maybe, but
I'm
isn't
looking
that
at it as
part
a
of
visuals
it?
and like just from that standpoint, I think their animation was highest at the.
The Inception house was admittedly.
Yes.
I will say this.
We're
That's what I- and that's
basically
what I'm talking
arguing about which
I'm
is
not-
like more amazing.
I'm not saying episode 19 on some levels was not better. I'm just saying from technical level, the Inception house is the best.
I'd have to think about it. I'd have to watch them back to back.
I'll rewatch it with you tonight. Let's do it.
We'll watch them back
I
to
will
back.
say this though, that whole sequence of episodes with the house and the final episode of the season, episode 26, where they do with Muzan, I think those are very, very good examples on how to use CG in a modern anime, but make it look,
Yeah.
make it
100%,
look
yeah.
not distracting. Like it adds to it.
Yeah.
Like the only other the only other place like I really like had seen CGI used super well was in Attack on Titan. And I think that was primarily because they were using it for the backgrounds. Like whenever they were flying around the cities and stuff, and like they would use CG backgrounds. It's moving so fast you can't notice how CG it looks. But it also allows them so much more freedom of movement and insane camera angles. I think like they are the people who did Attack on Titan were like masters of that. I think Ufotable might have them beat out because they can also use it for character stuff and other things without it looking totally out of place most of the time. But
I mean, it's the same principle.
That's
it's the same
honestly-
principle as Hollywood with CGI. You use CGI to enhance it, not to make it overwhelming or make it the full thing.
yeah. Like I'm trying to think. Actually, I can't even say I almost said like how Mandalorian, but like no, they didn't use CGI for those backgrounds. That was like a giant soundstage with like an actual screens.
Yep.
There was still a lot of visual effects. I've seen behind the scenes, but yeah, I see what you mean. Like
there's always gonna be, yeah.
But yeah, it's. I'll just say this: it's the CGI in The Mandalorian is nowhere near as noticeable as the prequel trilogy.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I mean, some of that comes from like it's just old now. Like when it came out, it looked pretty good.
I
Did
mean,
it?
Okay,
I
you looking
The
back
Phantom
on it
Menace
after what 20 plus
I
years?
think the
Yeah, it's
costumes
gonna
and
look bad.
designs were actually the best of like any Star Wars movies.
Oh, yeah,
Even though a lot
definitely.
of people might argue with me about that, I think the prequel trilogy had the best costumes and makeup and designs. But the
I
CGI
mean-
was wonky, man.
It was.
I mean, the CGI was
I'm talking
late
Revenge of
90s,
the
early
Sith.
2000s CGI. It's not going to
Yeah.
look great.
No,
It was
Phantom Menace,
early CGI
like,
for sure.
Revenge of the Sith, when it came out, looked decent.
Right.
Nowadays, yeah, you see all the lines and everything else and every little problem with
It's
it.
pretty wonky, but the designs are amazing, so it's okay.
Yeah.
Anyway, how do we get to talk about Star Wars?
CG.
Ah,
Yes.
How do you not get to Star Wars eventually with that? You start talking about computer-generated things, and then there's stuff. Hello there.
General
always there.
Kenobi.
Kenobi. But yeah, if you haven't watched Demon Slayer and this podcast hasn't convinced you otherwise, go watch it.
yes,
Sweet.
absolutely.
More than half of the things that we've watched on this so far, go watch them.
Honestly, yeah. Is there one that we would say don't watch it?
I wasn't really
haven't
into
seen
Fairy
it.
Tale. The one
Yeah.
guy that comments had said it gets better past episode 40, so you know maybe just skip
I mean,
there.
if
That's
you
something.
if you are definitely someone who likes a long haul show,
Yeah.
then yeah, watch it.
Any of these shows would be perfect for someone who likes a long haul show. I mean, Demon Slayer and Jujutsu Kaisen are the short ones just because they're new.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
everything else is many episodes now.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
I think like what's the next shortest one? Like Full Metal Alchemist? That's like 52
Yeah,
episodes.
64.
60
Yeah.
is it?
Yeah, Alchemist
is-
52.
52?
I thought. I'm going to double check.
No, I think Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood has 64.
I don't remember.
I don't either.
Oh, it's
Wikipedia.
64. Yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't too long.
The
Still.
original Full Metal Alchemist has, I think, like 40 episodes or something like that.
Alright, we got anything else to say about Demon Slayer? Because I don't think we can talk too much about Jujutsu Kaisen moving forward, because they're moving on to the finals.
Yeah.
Yep.
And make sure to watch 10 through 13 because 10 through 13
10 through
finishes the arc.
13. And don't forget for next week to watch episodes 7 through 9 of our other semi-finalists, Naruto and Inuyasha. We're going to see who comes out on top between those two and who is going to face Jujutsu Kaisen in the finals the week afterwards. So, things are already hot and they're going to stay heated in this competition. Moving on. It's so close to the end. Then we got to figure out other things to do. Good God. Alright, we'll see you guys next time, everybody. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Hey, thanks for watching, and if you haven't already, be sure to subscribe and ring the bell icon for notifications. If you enjoyed this video, give us a like, and if you haven't already, check out some of our previous episodes, our daily gaming videos, or our parody series, Madoka Magically Abridged. See you next time!